Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Midnite Snak podcast. Yes, we've been gone for a long time. I get it. And yes, we're late. Fuck you. That's why. Hopefully, we have the goods to keep you up at night. With me today, as always, is Austin.
What's up?
And as you can tell by the thumbnail, yes, Austin and I are now criminals. Anyway, when we were in Idaho, we didn't elaborate on the story, so we'll probably do that a little bit more today. Talk about the dickhole that caught us. Caught us. By caught us, I mean he asked us a question and we answered it honestly, and he still decided to be a fucking dick. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, how do you want to talk about that day?
Well,
the worst day of my life.
We were pinching each other's nipples.
So, I mean, before, when we went to Idaho, it was for a fishing trip.
Yeah.
And before we had gone, we had decided that he wanted to take me out shooting somewhere because I hadn't shot my gun yet. I bought it in August of 2020, and I hadn't shot it until, when was it? It was June 6th or June 7th. It's one of those days, 2022. So I didn't shoot my gun for almost 2 years before that point. So I was like, I want to shoot my gun. So that day, I think we fished a little bit. And then we went down to one of the creeks to go crawdadding. And of course, successful.
Yeah, and the river was so high because all the snow was melting off the mountain.
Yeah.
So we just weren't, everything that we planned that kind of day was just kind of falling to shit in a little bit.
Yeah.
Just
and then
slowly.
Austin takes me to the place he wanted to shoot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this desolate road in the middle of nowhere. Such the middle of nowhere that
off-road.
I couldn't even get a lawyer for the pre-trial.
Yeah. It was off-road, dirt road, everything.
Yeah.
Nothing around.
I called 8 fucking lawyers. Not a single one of of the ones that picked up, all of them, the second I said which county it was in, not them, but the receptionist would be like, well, if they're available, they might take it, but their schedule's got to be pretty empty. But I can check, and of course, every single time, nope, they're busy. It's their busiest schedule ever. So it's like, oh, great. So that was fucking phenomenal. But luckily enough, Austin didn't have enough money or had enough debt that he had to have a public defender.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure really gave us the best deal.
But you know what? I mean,
I feel like that was the first deal, and he's like, just take it. I'm like, can you not negotiate a little bit more?
I mean, he did try it towards the end, though. A little bit more.
Okay, yeah, a little bit more. But he should have been like, hey, could you remove the community service and the probation? Because he basically asked just for the probation and to remove it. And then the judge basically explained that he can't remove the probation because what happens in those cases, if they do have community service, which we did, that we wouldn't do it because there's nothing legally making us legally
bound to
obliged to do it. So he kept it there. I'm like, well, you could have asked for the community service to go away because it was 8 hours. Sorry. It is 8 hours, which is so stupid.
Yeah.
It's going to take us more time to research, find a place, finally get in, than just do the community service. It's like,
I feel like that's what they kind of want you to do, though. To be like, don't do that again.
We've already told you we're not gonna fucking do it again. But apparently you would think the near $400 would be enough to be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
But no, apparently they didn't think so. Anyway, back to the day.
Yeah.
He takes me to a desolate road in the middle of the buttfuck of nowhere, and there's 2 properties nearby on each side of the road. One is this huge farm. The other one's another fucking huge farm. So there's no one around. There's really not a building for miles. And Austin said that, and I also saw that the sign was already shot. It had bullet holes all the way in it. So just decided that, it's already got bullet holes in it, and it's a good target, I guess. So shot it.
Literally every sign in Idaho
is shot. And this one was shot too, which doesn't mean that it was right. But in that case, I had no idea that it was, and neither did he. I had no idea that it was a misdemeanor charge. Maybe I had a slight feeling that maybe this is wrong, but I didn't have the feeling like, oh my God, we're going to get fucking jail time for this.
Also, too, it didn't become a law there until 2018.
Well, that was okay. There's two
It,
laws.
it was like,
They put us under one law that I don't think was correct. The one law that
what
they
do
made
you put
was
that under?
it was sign defacement is what it should have been under because we defaced the sign. But they decided to put it under a malicious injury to property, which is such a broad law that if like Austin just went in for a job interview, like let's say I want to go in for a job. Every time I go into an interview, I now have to explain what the crime was. If it was defacement of a sign, they would have seen that and been like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But now that when they say malicious injury to property, that gives them red flags. They may not even let you go in for an interview. But once you explain, I'm sure most people, including the person he went in for an interview, is like, that's dumb. They really shouldn't have done that.
And he was a cop, or he is a cop still. He was the second youngest person in Washington State to become a cop.
Oh, interesting.
Which is cool, and he's actually in the SWAT unit. Which
that's cool.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Becoming a cop?
What? No.
No.
Hopefully for like soon to be boss.
Soon to be boss, hopefully. I would assume so, because if he was a cop, he would understand. Yeah. And he told you just how stupid.
Yeah, he was like, dude, that's fucking stupid. And he was like, they gave you a misdemeanor for that.
Yeah, apparently. Like, But if I go to Seattle and just fuck some random lady, that's fine because you're homeless and high off your fucking rocker. So stupid.
Yeah, he told me a few stories of like
people that got off.
How people, he's literally gotten called to like, scenes and like someone killed somebody, like the guy that killed out the next week.
That's Washington.
And then he arrested him again. He got out again. I was like, man, that guy has one hell of a lawyer, or
no, he does not.
Yeah, it's Washington State.
They
so
limit the homeless.
But yet, you get pulled over and they're like, jail time.
It's like, fuck you.
It's like,
okay.
How does this make any sense?
So what happened during that time is I shot my gun at the sign.
Yeah.
Austin shot his gun at the sign, and I had just put my gun away. I put everything away. We were about to leave.
We also shot at a can.
Yeah, there's a little Coke can we set off to the side too. We shot that.
It was like right underneath the sign.
Yeah, but we're about to go away. Austin was showing my wife kind of the gun, how it works, and just generally how to shoot it. And then a car comes by.
Well, she shot it. She shot it first.
No, that's true. Yeah. A truck comes by. And they roll up and they ask if we're doing okay. I read the side and I see that it says sign, roads, and bridges. I'm like, oh, this could get interesting. Hopefully not. But it just seemed like they were doing a welfare check, trying to see if whether or not we were broke down or something. And, of course, they probably saw you holding the gun. And they're like, yeah, they're probably fine. And they drive away. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's get in the car and let's go. And then I can hear, I'm not looking at the vehicle, but I can hear the vehicle stop. I can hear it go in reverse, and I can hear it like slowly encroaching back toward where we're at. And then the driver of the truck asks, did you shoot that sign? So I look at Austin. Austin looks back at me, and I'm like, I'll just follow his lead, whatever he says. And he's like, yep, you did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey. So instead of being like, thank you for being honest, like, please don't do that again, you shouldn't do that. Like, please go away, go home, whatever. Yeah. I'm sure if we were an 80-year-old man shooting it with a revolver, he'd have been like, just don't shoot the sign. You can shoot next to it.
This fucking dickhole gets out of the car like fucking Lightning McQueen, takes a picture of my front license plate, and he's like, fucking, what's a Karen for guys? I forgot.
I don't remember. Gregory.
Ken? Is it
Ken? No. Sounds like
I don't know.
Ken doll.
That's a doll.
Yeah. I don't exactly know.
Male version of Karen.
The male version of Karen.
Whatever that is. Anyway, he was that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like he may have been a father of 2 kids, but his wife had the pants of the family, so he finally got to get in his little authoritarian moment there. Such an asshole.
What a fucking
Like at first, I was just
Yeah,
trying to
it's
be as
10.
polite as possible, and then
Fucking pencil.
the passenger of the truck.
Oh, he was
super
cool.
nice.
He was awesome.
Yeah, super conversational, just nicest guy. He reminds me of someone that I kind of grew up around in Kansas. It was like, yeah, that guy's kind of nice. But once we were standing there for like 20 minutes, I was like, okay, they're not just going to have us pay for the sign. There's probably going to be a cop coming. Yay. Of course, they didn't tell us that they called the police. I never heard anything about them calling the police. I didn't. Which was interesting.
Oh, because he was on the phone with them.
I didn't
the
hear
dickhole.
I
was
thought
on
he
the
was
phone.
calling some kind of supervisor. He was trying to be super quiet about it. Of course, with my hearing, it's a little bit more difficult. And to kind of relay the scene. So because we were crawdadding that day, I was in what are called water shoes, water socks, whatever, and swimming trunks. So it's like, yeah, I look like someone who is a criminal. It's like, no, I look like I'm ready for the beach. Like, and of course I'm standing there. It's hot, and I remember
your California hat on. You have your California shirt on, so you're not giving that guy very good impressions. And we have a Washington State license on my car, so he's probably like, oh my god, these fucking liberals.
It happened in Idaho, by the way. Why the fuck would they think we're liberals if we're shooting guns? Liberals don't shoot guns.
Yeah, most of the time. I mean, I know
they get shot by them.
True.
Anyway, there was at one point. So the passenger, I can tell you how cool he was. At one point, and I really did have to. I was like, man, I really got to take a shit. And everyone started laughing around us like, yeah. But of course, the dickhole probably wouldn't have. But he was off to the side, so he didn't ruin the fucking parade like he always does, because he's got a tight asshole, and apparently someone's shoving something up there. God, he's such a fucking prick. To elaborate on his prickiness, so there was at one point, cop already came. Austin was going. The cop was asking him a question. He went over to the cop car, and it was me and the 3 road signs and bridges guy, because there was another guy in another truck, but he didn't really say a word. But I just said, kind of as a gesture, like, "Hey, sorry for having you guys out here. Sorry for wasting your time or your day." And instead of being like, thanks for, apologizing kind of thing, instead this dickhole decides to go, you know what, I'm glad I caught you, because we have so many signs that we replace, and I'm just finally glad that we caught somebody. I was like, oh, the other 2 road signs and bridges guys, you could tell they were uncomfortable, because why the fuck would you say that? If someone's extending an olive branch, you like literally just fucking stabbed me in the hand kind of thing. It was like, you fucking dickhole. So really I just walked away, because I'm like, I'm not dealing with this.
So
bitch.
once the cop showed up, and I kind of, walked to him a little bit, kind of meet him halfway. And he was like, "Did you know it's wrong to shoot a sign, in Idaho?" And I said, I just found that out about 40 minutes ago. And then he just starts laughing.
Yeah, the cop was super
yeah,
nice.
The cop was awesome.
I could see in his truck, he had like the little booklet of laws and all that kind of
I was
stuff.
Standing there while he was doing it too.
I could see him. He's like, what the fuck do I put this under? Like, I have no idea. I've never had to come out here for a fucking sign being shot. Yeah. So he eventually finds one. I think it was the wrong one. It was malicious injury to property. It should have been defacement of sign.
Probably the closest one he could find in that book. That little pamphlet that tells him
it sucks, what to do. Because I really think if it was the defacement of a sign, I think it would have been a lot less, or a lot less to go off of. Anyway, yeah, hopefully I can still become a doctor now. I guess we will find that out the hard way. Yeah, fingers fucking crossed. If not, maybe it's just a sign from God. You shouldn't.
That's how I always take everything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, it's just meant to be.
It had to happen, Some stupid fucking...
Because you never know.
No, you never know. So, of course, after that day, all of us were pretty fucking down that day. We went out to one small pond, and I just wasn't even feeling like fishing.
Ashley
at that
caught
point.
a badass fucking big mouth.
Okay, that's because she was having a good day.
That's true. That's true.
So what happened was that the cop was going to charge all of us, including my wife. And he decided, after seeing how distressed my wife was and how much I said that she's having a hard time and that she's trying to become a nurse, and that might reflect negatively on her, and she might not be able to get the job.
But yet,
yeah, I know. But anyway, he said, you know what? I'm not going to charge her. I'll just charge you too. And I was like, thank you. Because being married, and that's like, that's double the amount for the, it's like,
little heartwarming.
Yeah, it was really
little
cool.
thing.
That was cool.
You just said, well, I'm also becoming a doctor, so.
No, I did.
You did.
I
Oh, you
did.
did?
Yeah.
In fact,
Nope.
I didn't introduce that. The cop asked, I think you probably introduced it. He asked, so you want to become a doctor, huh? And I was like, yeah, I want to become a doctor. I don't know what specialty yet, but, you know, I just generally want to help people. Hopefully I can, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't remember what he said after that, but
Yeah.
Anyway, the next day I called just to make sure, because I could see on the little indictment pad that the cop wrote that you can't just call in. You have to show up before the magistrate's court. I'm like, oh, fuck me. So I call, and sure enough, we have to. The problem is we're leaving the next day, and then I have to go to Kansas for probably 6 or 7 days. So I can't even fly back to Idaho in time for the deadline, which was, I think, the 14th. So it's about a week out.
It was something like that.
So I was like, oh, great. Do you have an opening today? And sure enough, they did. And that cut into more of our fishing time, which was a pain in the ass. That was confusing as hell. I've never had to read so much shit.
Yeah.
It was just, you know, the rights. And then in order to get a public defender, you got to do a whole bunch of fucking digging into how much money you have, all your valuables, all your debt, that kind of thing. Of course, I was filling that out, and then I realized it asked how much was in your savings. I'm like, great, my wife and I are saving up for a house, so they're going to see how much we've saved, and when they see that, they're going to be like, you can afford it. And I'm like, great, because we're frugal. And believe me, some people in the pretrial, they are not.
Oh my God.
God damn. But for some reason, if I'm doing a good thing by saving up some money, but they're not doing a good thing by saving up money, they get represented, but I can't because I'm a good boy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this guy shows up with I don't know, it's like a Sonic foam cup. The lid is off, and there's no fucking straw, and he's just in not the courtroom, but before the courtroom. He's just drinking that. He showed up about 2 minutes before it started, and of course, he's the first person to go. And when he goes, he tries to explain to the judge that he needs a public defender.
Like 10
and
times.
Before, when he was trying to get a public defender, they found out that he makes too much money, but that's for a job that he was applying for, but he was inaccurate on how much he was gonna make, and it was like, this is gonna be 30 fucking minutes of this guy just trying to find a fucking
loophole.
No,
Not
just
even
try to find a
loophole.
public defender. He was like, I only got like
know.
$300 last week. I think he said his car got impounded or something. It was just a fucking wreck.
But we saw one case that was like, damn.
Yeah, it was like, we all shouldn't even fucking be here. It's for him.
Yeah, like that was the main event.
So I believe he had a
Yeah, he had a
meth
arson.
charge,
Yeah, he had
arson charge, and he was trying to get the arson, or the state had stated, funny, that the arson charge would go away if he pled guilty to the meth charge, but they hadn't let it go away yet, so he was confused, and then the judge had to explain to him what that was, because I believe in the meth, I think he had possession of, use of, and I don't think he did the distribution of, but
Yeah, I don't know.
anyway, whenever they read the maximum penalty for the arson charge, it was $50,000 and up to how many years in
It was
jail?
10, I think.
10 years in jail?
I think it was something like that. Yeah.
It was like,
It's like,
holy
damn.
fucking shit. And of course, you got to be dead silent in the courtroom, which apparently isn't followed in a pretrial because someone brought in their goddamn, like,
Baby.
2-month-old
Yeah,
baby.
baby.
And it was like, I mean, the
Yep.
baby was quiet for the most part.
I mean,
It was picked up a little bit, and then the deputies were kind of laughing to each other. I'm like, well,
They were only there for that case, though. The big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, he wasn't in the courtroom. He was in the jail, so
Yeah.
they had to zoom him in from the jail.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
So you have to watch everyone's of the day? Like everyone's court
Up
case?
to, so they were doing it in alphabetical order by last name, except for the ones that were in the
Yeah.
jailhouse. They just went whenever they were ready, because of course the jail has to bring you into a room, and they got to bring in the next person to the room. So they're like the drive-through window, whereas we're like the inside.
So was both your guys at a different time, or?
Because the judge saw that it was the same case, he decided it would go faster if he just had me go right after, which thank God, because my last name starts with an S.
Yeah.
His last name starts with an M. So we had everything from M to S to cover before it got to me. And I'm pretty sure I was going to be the last one because my second initial or second letter in my last name is a T. So S and T, very far down the fucking list. It's like, oh no, I'm going to be stuck here forever. And they're going to be out there having a whale of a time. But I guess we should go back a little bit.
Yeah.
When we got there for the pre-trial, had no idea what it was going to entail. I thought it was just going to be us two. I didn't know there was going to be other people.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So when we showed up, I think there was only one other person there. I'm like, okay, one other person. That's not going to be that bad. And then, of course, 5 minutes before the pre-trial, like 13 other fucking people come in. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was confused.
But during that time where we were a little bit early, Austin went in with his public defender into the room. Yeah. And of course, I'm like, oh, great. Oh, great. He's going to tell him not to tell me anything. And I'm going to get a worse deal or something. And they're going to make me go first or something. And I was like, oh, great. Here we go. But he comes back out after talking to the prosecutor. This is a little bit later while Austin's sitting next to me. And he kind of read the deal. And the deal that the state gave us, according to him at that time, was a $300 fine, restitution of $134.50, and what was the other? Oh, yeah, 12 months probation with 8 hours of community service. Mm-hmm. So I heard that. I'm like, that's more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a fine, restitution. I didn't know that the probation and the community service is going to be. But the nice bit of news that we were told is that he said that we could do the community service in Washington, which is like, oh, thank God. It's like, I don't want to drive 8 hours to the middle of buttfuck of nowhere to stay there for an entire week to do community service for 8 hours. It's like, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of money.
In a jumpsuit.
What?
Like a orange
you wouldn't
jumpsuit.
You wouldn't be in a jumpsuit.
Don't ruin my fantasy here. God damn it.
God.
You should buy
crushed my dream. You know, I thought about it. Like, I'm like, Halloween's coming up. I should just buy an orange jumpsuit.
No.
Get misdemeanor on the back.
No.
And then.
Oh, yeah, because, now whenever they see this, if they ever do, they're going to be like, well, they didn't learn their lesson. I guess we should increase that. No, it's already been decided, so I don't think so.
Don't want to push buttons.
Anyway, of course, I was between him and Austin, so I didn't pipe up about anything. And probably about 2-3 minutes later, I start to get nervous. I'm like, okay, maybe I should ask the prosecuting lawyer. I go into the wrong room at first. I think it was his paralegal in that room. Yeah. I thought that was the prosecutor because that was the room he was in before he came out to tell Austin that. And he said the prosecutor's actually in the other room. And he said, I can go ask and see if whether or not yours is the same deal. He went in and asked. He came to me. He said, it's the same deal for both of you. And I was like, okay, that's good. So we go in to the courtroom and we sit down. It's like church pews, weirdest thing. I think the judge is already sitting there. A couple other people filter in and eventually the door's shut and then it starts. Of course, we already told you about that one guy.
Yep.
And the arsonist. And eventually Austin's name gets called up. He walks to the front. The judge asks the state what their, whether or not there's a deal between you and what it is. The state says $300 fine, $134.50 restitution, which they started to be a little bit shaky on because they didn't know where they got that information from. They eventually figured it out. It was the same guys that basically caught us.
Yeah.
Which interesting.
We could have ran
12 months probation.
So much.
We could have just said no.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine. But no, we were honest boys, I guess. 12 months probation. Okay, I'm like, okay, I heard that too. 8 hours community service. I'm like, okay. And 10 days of jail time. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, really? Now we're here? It's like, and my heart sank. Like, I started to get like feeling like anxious poop coming, you know? I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Why didn't the lawyer tell us that? How did that slip his mind?
Has to already clean out for fun time, you know? Yeah. For fun time.
I was like, and I was going through it in my head. I'm like, there's no fucking way this judge is going to make us do that. So I just kind of nervously sit in the back waiting for whatever Austin has in front of him. And then, of course, if the jail time sticks, all hell's breaking loose on my end. I'm gonna just fucking go to town as far as crying. I'm so sorry. Fuck. Anyway, I don't give a shit. It's a courtroom. I don't have to look good.
Did the lawyer say anything about defacement of sign? Like, this is what it should have been?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, he just said what the deal was. He had like 5 or 6 other cases to worry about, so I'm sure it wasn't at the top of his head.
Yeah.
So, Austin goes up there. He pleads guilty, and after he pleads guilty, the judge says, "Okay, I can sentence you to whatever I want to sentence you, and to including up to the maximum, which is $1,000 and 1 year in jail." And he starts to read off the what is it called, the whatever the state's deal was, and then as he's modifying it, and then right before he gets to, I believe right before he gets to the restitution, his lawyer says, "Can we remove the probation?" And of course the judge says no. We already talked about that a little bit. And the judge kind of goes through all the rest. He said 6 months probation. I was like, okay, that's better than 12. And then it's still going to be the 8 hours community service. However, the 10 days of jail will be suspended. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, oh no, that would have been awful. 10 days in jail for this shit.
My heart sank to my balls, bro. Like,
what sucks is you're out on the plank and I was still on the boat, like waiting for whatever the fuck's gonna happen to you, if they're gonna pull you back in or they're gonna push you off. And I'm like, I don't know which one's the better.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's good news, it's better to be in the back. But if it's bad news, then it's worse to be in the back because now you anticipating what's about to fucking happen. I mean, to be honest, if we fought it, they literally had no evidence in their case to prove or suggest that we did. The only information they had was hearsay. All of it, including the cops' testimony. I never admitted to it. I think you may have, but I never admitted to shooting the sign to the cop. I never admitted shooting the sign to any of the road signs guys there. I think except for maybe the yes afterward, or like when you did, and we just said yes, but that isn't an admission of guilt on my part. I could just be like, yes, we are here and we shot the sign collectively together, kind of. But all of their testimony would be hearsay because they didn't see us do it. They only heard what we told them. So it's like, maybe you could say it's hearsay, maybe not, because I think testimony given by the defendant, according to somebody else, can be used against them. However, I think it would still be hearsay because you would have to trust that that person's telling the truth, but otherwise it's hearsay. But I didn't want to go back to Idaho. I didn't want to waste anyone else's time, but now, yay! Because I think misdemeanors, you still have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it happened. So,
it's fucking stupid.
So we pled guilty. The total charge was $300 fine, which we paid that day. Yep. $134.50 in restitution, which was split between the two of us, which I caught because that was a bit of confusion on the clerk's end. She was going to make both of us pay $134.50 instead of the combined together because the restitution is a combined fee or fine. Yeah. So that was like $67 between the two of us. So mine was like $380, and now we got to try to find a place to do community service. Yay. Yep. And no one's contacted me as far as probation. The paralegal said that we would get contacted by the probation officer and they would just do regular check-ins. I haven't gotten anything.
Washington was probably saw it and like, nah, they're good.
No, they would probably contact me by cell phone or by email or something. Like, I imagine they could get a hold of me in some way. Yeah. Be dumb if be like, well, you didn't check in with your probation
Maybe
officer.
through letter.
Well, it said we didn't have to.
It was unsupervised, so that just means that they don't have to. You don't have to go into the office to talk with them. They can just talk to you over the phone. So far, I haven't gotten anything back or anything at all. Oh, God.
Also, I mean, 6 months is, a decent amount of time for a contact. They're not going to do it right after,
That's true, but they typically do it like once a month, so I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Yeah. And of course, we had millions of questions afterward. I was like, so my wife and I are moving. Can we move with this probation, or am I stuck in the state that I'm currently residing in until it's up and then I can move? And they said that you just have to tell the probation officer early on, and then after you move, you just have to say you changed address. This is your new address, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So they can come and get you if they need to.
You're not moving within 6 months, are you?
That would technically be, what, January? Wait, no, because the probationary period would have started the court date, which is the 20th, right? Yeah, 20th, so that would have been
I thought you were
January
moving
20th.
in March.
Yeah, we'd probably be moving there. I don't think it'll affect it that much, but we have until January. Well, actually, sorry, we have until November 1st to do our community service.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep. When? That's the later topic.
Yeah.
You might see some Boy Scouts there too. I remember doing that. as a
God,
Boy
kill
Scout.
me.
Boy Scouts.
I
That
wish
made me
I wish
wonder.
I wish I could have asked, like, hey, does past community service work toward this? Because I have like 500 fucking hours of community
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder whenever we went somewhere if all those were criminals that were helping.
Some of them.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, some of
Yeah.
them.
Okay.
Like what's one? Northwest Harvest I know is one that I think there's probably a lot of like teenagers that have been in trouble that'll go up there. Otherwise I don't really know. While we were in Idaho, we still went back to Wingers, which was still
Yeah.
pretty good, although my what are they called? Sticky fingers were a bit colder than they should have been, but I didn't say shit because I'm nice.
Is that a
we got-
restaurant?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like an old-fashioned dinery
Yeah.
type style thing.
It's pretty good.
For like chicken wings, and their sticky fingers are just basically like boneless chicken strips.
Yeah.
They're pretty good though.
Yeah, they're
Crunchy,
really
moist.
good. Yeah. They're kind of like they're crunchy, but it like falls off the meat.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, and then
delicious.
you decided that you get something super spicy.
Yeah, it
after
wasn't
the-
even that fucking hot.
I know, but you still decided I might get something spicy after hearing bad news that day.
Hey,
It's like
man.
I'm already gonna be having a shit time.
You think I care? No.
Anyway, during this entire time, we had to hide it from your grandma that what we were doing that day.
Yeah, the whole entire time my grandma did not know.
Well, and she
That's funny.
always inquires about what you're doing, where you're
Yeah.
going, kind of thing. So it's like, Austin, you say something, I'll try to listen and make sure I corroborate your story. But if we're not in the same room and she asks me that question, I'm gonna go, oh.
I just said we were going down to Boise. Didn't really give much else other
Yeah.
than that to give us a little room. But
I think
yeah,
they got a
and then
comment on YouTube, but they might have retracted it. I saw a little.
Retracted what?
It looks like they deleted
Deleted what?
a message. Yeah.
A
It's not there
message?
anymore. I read it for just a moment, but it looks like
Oh,
they're
redacted
talking
here.
about hearsay, but I didn't read the whole thing.
oh yeah, Archibald.
You know
It's
who
my
that is?
buddy. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why did he read?
What? It's a
Little
redacted,
ball.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see if there's anything other than just redacted. No, it just looks like redacted.
Yeah, retracted, not redacted.
Oh, whatever. Same thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same fucking thing.
I've never heard of that word before. I've
The
heard
other
retract.
thing is we went to a reptile store, which is actually pretty fucking
Yeah.
cool.
It was dope.
That's the coolest thing they had in there. They had 3 or 4 alligators.
Yeah. One was like fucked up.
It had metabolic
Yeah.
bone disease, so
It
its
was
entire
interesting.
front skull and jaw was kind of caved into the bottom
Yeah,
jaw, and
and then
its
it was
teeth
like-
were sticking out to the
Well,
side.
that and then like his head was just like tiny.
Yeah,
It was tiny, and then he had like this. He was decent size. He
Yeah.
wasn't like huge or anything, but he was like what, probably like 7 feet.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, something like that, 6, 7 feet. But I mean, his head was like this big,
Yeah,
and then his
it's
teeth are
small.
just like yeah.
I mean, let's see if I can find a
And
picture.
it'll stick with the wall.
They were just like I don't know,
Yeah.
outside, and they were kind of like almost at like an angle, but not quite like sideways. It was just kind of like
Let's see if I can find an image of it. Kind of like this. Let's see if fight.
Damn.
In a sense.
So it's kind of like this, except the jaw wasn't going fully to the left. It was
Mm.
just kind of receded in, and its teeth were kind of sticking. This is
Yeah.
really bad.
He needs to go to the orthodontist.
Yeah, that was
Damn.
really bad. But the one that they had was, I think, probably better taken care of. Yeah, it basically does this to them.
What
It makes it to
caused
where the bones are more like cartilage. So, yeah. It's pretty
Is it
gnarly.
basically an injury against, like, from another?
It's a genetic disease, so
Yeah.
it's
Ah.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Damn.
It may be inbreeding because crocodiles aren't that smart, or alligators, I should say. But no, the store also had like 8 or 9 different species of turtles. It probably had like 10 different species of snakes.
Yeah. Oh,
Easily.
Yeah, easily.
It had a
They had
chameleon that would like grab onto your fucking pinky. That was a bit weird.
It was with the cage because there were like bars. Like here's like the chicken
Grab
wire.
onto the bars, like
Yeah.
help me
It
out.
was like his cage was made out of chicken wire, and then it had
it
little
was
bars.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was like bars on the outside of the chicken wire, so they, if they found a way out, then at least there's the bars keeping them. But he like went through the chicken wire, like grabbed onto the bars, and he was like this, and it was really fucking.
Well,
funny
and what
with
freaked
him.
me out at one point, he like pulls himself up and puts his head through like the
Yeah.
a couple of the bars. I'm like, he's about to fucking like shoot his tongue at me. I'm like, fuck you, bitch.
It was really funny,
Yeah, it was.
honestly.
It was really. I've never seen a chameleon really interact that way before.
No.
They had like 1 or 2 talking birds. One of them would wave. The other one would say hello occasionally. When you go in, the admission also gives you like a little bowl of mealworms to feed the turtles. I'm
Yeah.
sure they do that because they don't want to feed the turtles. Like,
Oh yeah.
go feed them.
For
You
sure.
have fun. We don't. Or some of them looked a bit strange, but I
Like
think
the shells did.
they had oxolotls. They had some arachnid species.
Yeah, they had stick
iguanas.
bugs. Yeah, they had iguanas. They had
What else did they have?
tegus. They had
Basically had everything except for blue tongue
monitors.
skink.
yeah, that was like the
Yeah.
only thing, which is so common to have.
What did they have? I'm gonna look up dragon lizard because I can't remember what it's
Oh,
called.
I barely even touched it.
Oh, I can
there
hear
it is.
myself
There
now.
it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Damn, that thing is.
Where is? Nah, it's not that thing. It's this
Had-
thing.
Hey, fuck yeah.
Except it had a red eye. Shit. What is it called?
Oh,
Armadillo
so cute.
lizard. Armadillo lizard.
And there was a few
red
different species
eye
of chameleons too. And
It looks like a Pokemon.
Armadillo lizard.
Yeah, it does. but,
This
It's
thing.
adorable.
Sorry.
yeah,
There you go. Now you can kind
Look
of
at
see
that one.
This is what it looked like. So it looked like a
Yeah.
miniature dragon, but it
Yeah.
had like a little red eye. This is exactly what it looked like. Of course, it was kind of coiled up, but super cool looking. Oh yeah, that's about how big that one was too. About the size of our little leopard gecko.
Give him a buddy.
No, lizards don't really work that
Yeah,
well
no.
together, especially different species, because
Yeah.
most of them are pretty solitary. So if they find each other in the wild, they try to go away, and if they can't go away, they fight. So good idea. I gotta make sure this works.
That would make some good YouTube content though.
Animal,
fight to the death.
animal cruelty. Let's go. Fuck it. Let's start dog fighting.
Is it animal cruelty? When they're
Chicken
running-
fighting. Cockfighting.
Cockfighting.
Yeah.
I'll fight
If
someone
I can't
my
fight
cock.
with this cock, I'm gonna use another cock to fucking fight.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably fight with your.
I mean,
cock,
I
it'd just
easily could.
be
I
a
mean,
misdemeanor, I'm sure.
I don't know what would that go under.
Sexual.
You'd have to
something.
go in the sex offender registry,
Yeah.
which is probably worse than just having
Oh,
a
yeah.
misdemeanor.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely
How
wouldn't
did-
become a
how did
doctor
you-
like that.
So what happened that you got this charge here? I slapped my friend in the face with my dick. And
and he decided to be a little pussy bitch about it. Called the cops on me.
And he sued me.
He seemed to like it. He sucked it right after. Anyway, so the another thing we did is we went crawdadding, and
Yep.
I almost had the courage to catch one. Like I had one in my hands, but I don't know what it is. Like I had one pinch me, and it didn't feel that bad until you pulled it off, and you just kept pulling. Like, ow, ow, motherfucker, stop
You
pulling!
You just gotta pull them off.
I know, but man, it hurt because it
And
wouldn't let
then-
go.
It was funny because like there were like these crevices in the rocks, and you couldn't see jack shit. So like I just stuck my whole hand down
Couldn't.
and like started feeling around, and then I think Ashley got more balls than you with that. Like she
probably.
was like freaked out, but then she started to warm up to it. And then I was like, yeah, there's nothing in the water. Like if this was the ocean, fuck no.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
If this was one of the rivers down south, fuck no.
Yeah, no. Like
Snake, snapping turtles, alligators,
Yeah.
fuck you, no.
yeah, no, I'm good. So, but like you just stick your arm down and it just keeps going like different caverns, and it's like
When am I gonna get fucking pinched?
yeah, it's kind of like feeling around, and then I finally did find a couple that way.
I think the other problem was I was barefoot. I think you were too.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, it was.
man, my feet were raw. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
really?
man, it hurt because, of course,
It's
I weigh more.
raw.
I weigh more, but
Ah!
in order to like, I had to balance myself. But if I stood in the same spot for too long, it would start to hurt. But moving would hurt more. So it was like I'm stuck here, but I gotta move, and my feet hurt. And it was just fucking great. So I tried to sit down as much as possible. But when we're on kind of a
Sit on this dick.
probably more comfortable than some of those rocks.
Oh. Cut my finger open.
Oh yeah. Wait, I didn't see it after. Yeah.
So did
Rock. A rock fell on it. Nice.
A rock fell. This rock assaulted me. Misdemeanor.
No, that's more than a misdemeanor. I think assault.
Battery.
I think it
I
should
can't
be
remember the
sentenced
difference
to
between
death.
assault and battery. I think battery was using like using this against you would be
batter
battery.
it.
Yeah,
Hurts my
just
bad
batter
knees.
and deep fry me,
Mhm.
just like my ancestors.
So we caught probably about 5 or 6. We had to throw one back in because it was too squishy.
yeah.
It was dead. We tried multiple different rivers. I think we only caught one in one of the other
Yeah.
rivers.
I caught 2. I think we had a total of like 6 or 7 at the end.
I think so. We put them all in a bucket.
Yeah,
We
but
brought
we
it-
lost so many of them because
They're so fucking fast.
well, it wasn't necessarily that. Because most of the time, like you're in a river and it's all equal ground, so you could follow it and keep.
Oh yeah,
going
that's
for it,
true.
and
But this is a slope.
It was like this, and then it went like this, and then you couldn't see jack shit in like 2 feet away from you.
Because
like
the river is pretty
yeah,
high.
it was high and it was also murky, so you couldn't. Like you would lift a rock, and also the silt coming off of those fucking rocks was insane.
Yeah.
Like you would lift it up, and then you couldn't see jack shit until like
Felt
I don't
too
know,
late.
a minute or 2 maybe.
And by that time,
Yeah,
fuckers,
the fuckers
gone.
bolt
um,
unless like you lift it insanely small, like slow, and then you're still gonna see like a bunch of silt, so dirt, mud,
Yeah.
coming up, and it's clouding the water, but like it's not as bad. Like you kind of see through it. So yeah. But-
so we
You
got
guys-
them in a
Did you
bucket.
guys use a net at all?
No, just hand. Because we didn't bring any fishing gear this
Ah.
time because we knew it was going to be a shorter trip.
Yeah.
Even
though we totally could have too.
yeah, we could have. Okay, sorry. We brought the bucket back to the house. I don't remember what we did next. Oh yeah, we went on a walk. Austin's
This
like,
bitch.
You
okay,
boomers.
so let me preface. The first day we got in, we went for like a 2 to 5 minute walk kind of around the neighborhood. So Austin's like, you want to go for a walk tonight? And everyone's like, yeah, sure. And we walk outside the neighborhood. We go through town. We go to the opposite fucking side of town. And then we come all the way back 5 miles fucking later. We did a walk. And this bitch is stupid because we were just about to go on a fucking long road trip. And of course, now everyone's ass is sore, legs are sore, hips are sore, fucking ankles are sore because we just went on a fucking 5-mile walk the day before we were going to go on a road trip. He's laughing because I was bitching the whole time, but half the time I was kind of joking. Like I was
Okay,
giving you shit
Yeah, no.
half the time.
I could mostly tell, but
Yeah.
that was really funny because when we were walking back, he walked to the other side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, because I'm like,
On
oh,
the
we're
other
going
side.
back. But no, apparently I didn't get told that we're going to the fucking gas station.
Yeah, she told you like 5 or 6
Who?
times. Your girl. was about to say your girlfriend.
I do that sometimes too.
That was my save though.
It's fine. She's playing her game. She can't hear anything. I swear to God, I could shoot my goddamn gun in this house and she would not hear it because she's so entrenched in that game.
Ashley!
Oh, she said
Yes, she
what?
heard me.
I heard. Yeah.
She heard me. We don't need you.
But she's so entranced in this game right now. It's
He's a
just
woman.
the Jurassic
When
World.
do we need him? Other than the
Babies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Cooking, babies, child rearing.
bro, I thought you said child rearing. And I was
Child
like,
rearing. Yeah.
What does that mean?
rearing, like
Rearing.
rearing up, like ass up. You're like, yeah, get it.
No, it means to raise a child.
Oh, no.
You see, you thought this exact same fucking thing.
I don't know if I'm gonna spell it right.
And we've been canceled.
Bro, we have said
Child rearing.
Well, it sounded like you said rearing.
They're homeschooled. This is why.
you were homeschooled.
Hi, half of my life.
You.
I was homeschooled half of my life.
More
bitch.
than half.
No,
Feels
less
like.
than
Oh,
half. If you
gee, I've
include
spotted a cunt.
if you include running start and 4 years of college, I've done more public school now.
I
at
thought you
this
were gonna
point.
say community service.
I mean, to be honest,
4 years of community service.
I was in Boy Scouts for 6,
Yeah.
so that was pretty much 6 years of community service right there,
Yeah, I guess.
off and on. But you know, all right, started to race this, so I stopped reading it. Wait, are they seeing this? Thank fucking God not. So
Well, I thank fucking God. He's only brought me heartache.
You should thank Satan.
God,
Thank you.
thank you for Satan for fucking everything up. If it weren't for
Mm.
you, I wouldn't be here.
I don't know.
He was the one over my shoulder. Just listen to Austin. You can do it. It's fine. Don't listen to your gut. It's gonna be fine.
Normally my gut is pretty. That's every time I've gotten in trouble.
I just
in
had
the
a bit of an
past-
inkling, but I think, okay, I was really excited to shoot my gun, and I think that's what made me just completely not think about it. Because I just wanted to shoot my gun, and I finally got to, and now I want to do it again, but I'm not gonna do it that way anymore.
Yeah.
God.
We can go to what are they
range.
called? I don't like going to gun ranges just for the fact that they charge you up the wall. No, there's places.
It's better than $400 fucking dollars.
No, there's places. They're
Good
called
point.
quarries, or not necessarily quarries, but
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
they're.
But you
know,
can go into an indoor range and just rent it for the day. It's like $8,
It's more
maybe
than
$9.
that.
Can't
I
get
mean, even if
bullets
it's
from them.
$20, it's
But
still
see,
worth
like,
it compared to
when
what
you-
we
when-
just had to fucking
When
go
you
through.
go to an indoor range, you can't I have other guns we can shoot. Like I got the 22 rifle. Like I got the 30-06.
I think
got
you
the
can,
300
but
Savage. I got the
the reason I didn't go to a range is because I'm just anxious about that whole scenario. Like, what is that going to be like? I don't know what that's like, and to be in that for shooting your gun for the first time, it's not a good idea to introduce yourself into an area where you'll feel more anxious because when you're already learning to shoot a handgun for the first
And we
time. So
could-
I'd shot
'cause there's-
rifles when I was a kid. I'd shot shotguns, but never a
there's
handgun.
places like I'd say like an hour from here, exactly probably about here. Well, maybe 45 minutes, but it's an hour because the roads are fucking horrible. They have slots where it's for shooting. Up in the mountains, you don't have to pay jack shit. You just have to drive.
Are you
And
sure?
yeah,
I'll
no,
pay
no.
for jack shit.
no, I'm not
Because
joking.
the last time I
But
you
no,
can't
like,
shoot the mountain. That's a
you-
malicious injury to the wildlife.
No, because most of the time, you'll see them. Some will say like, oh, it's too dangerous or whatever for this because of ricochet and
Yeah.
stuff. Because they have a rock background, but if it's like close enough, like the rock, like it's a shorter one, like you can tell people use it for pistols and shit like that. Well, there's ones for like rifles. There's all these different ones that my family's. Hmm?
I said you do have to worry about ricochet.
Yeah, but no.
Speaking of, that reminds me when we were little, when we were shooting the BB gun. Do you remember me I hit the railroad tie that you set up with all the cans with the BB gun,
Mhm.
and the BB came straight back, and before I could react, it hit me right on the bridge of the nose, and I was like, "Huh, that
Yeah.
wasn't too bad." It's like that could have been a lot fucking worse. Hit my eye.
I've had ricochets before with
Well,
at
the
least
BB gun,
like
it's not
BB
that
guns.
bad.
No,
Not that bad.
and it's more common with a BB gun too.
True.
Because the bullet doesn't.
Well,
because
because
most of the
it
time the bullet-
bounces off.
Most of the
There's
time
not
the
enough
bullet
energy for it to
shatters.
embed into the railroad tie. Whereas with like a pistol, it would embed itself in the
Usually with
railroad tie.
ricochet, it's just part of the bullet, right? It's not an entire bullet.
Well,
it can be the whole
depends.
bullet.
It could be the whole bullet if it's perfect. It can also
Most of the
can
time,
be-
it's just a half or small amount. It's not that much. It depends.
honestly have more of a concern of a gun exploding on you, I feel, than more ricochet.
Yeah. So we gotta stop having so many adventures in Idaho.
Yeah, just don't. We can have the adventures here,
Yeah, that's true.
where the courts are close.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I asked the lawyer because I was going to be a doctor. I was like, is there any way I could get this off my record? And he said, there's no way to really get it off your record, but you can withdraw. And of course, right after he said withdraw, someone else pulled him away. I'm like, kind of important information. Could you tell that to me? So I pull him aside later after the pretrial. And I'm like, how can I, you said withdraw. How can I do that? And he basically said, don't worry about it, which I don't really agree with. I was like, and the reason he said it was, well, you only get one in a lifetime in Idaho, which means if you commit another crime in Idaho, you can't get that withheld. So maybe you might have something that's more serious coming up that you would probably rather withhold. So badly wanted to say, this is my first charge. I don't intend on committing another charge, let alone in the state of Idaho, which I maybe spend maybe an hour a year average in. Like I don't really go to Idaho that much. Of course we have recently, but one of them was to go basically to the trial.
Yeah.
Otherwise I've maybe only been in Idaho for like a week of my life, maybe a week and a half of my life, not that much. So I was like, maybe I should. And of course I didn't inquire any further, so we'll see where that goes.
Probably like 2-3 weeks. We went to camp there a couple times for a week.
We went to camp there for 5 days. Yeah, but that was okay. Sorry, we went for like a week and a half. We were a week and a half there, so maybe like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That was it. Most of the time I'm driving through.
That's fair.
So,
Thank you. Thanks for being honest.
so I was like, well, it's like then I gotta hire another lawyer to do that. I don't know if I have to, if I can just contact the whichever
just
office that is and basically say,
contact
hey,
them.
can I withdraw that charge from my record? It still means that I have to declare it's on my record, but I can't remember exactly what it means.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up. Yay, more things to look up during this year of looking everything up.
Yeah.
So the other reason why we couldn't do the podcast for a while is because this bitch decided to go to Texas with his wife. It was really fucking fun. Thank God I had some fun before going to the trial. And I was like, well, if I do serve jail time, I had a hell of a time before. So my wife and I, we drove down to Texas for the second time now. And so far, we've gone and come back a different way every single time. We've never had the exact same route at all, going down or coming back.
Interesting.
I'm trying to think about what else happened during the drive. Not really all that much. We stayed at places called KOAs. Most people don't know what they are. They're just like little campsites. I believe they're like private campsites that people own. You can either tent out there. There's cabins they have, or if you have a trailer or an RV, you can stop there. It's cheaper than a hotel for the most part.
How much was it?
On the way down, it was $150 for 3 nights. So not that bad considering that some hotels is $150 for one before fees and everything else is included. But of course, when we went down, we only did 10 sites. And for the most part, it was fine. The second night, it rained a bit harder than we were expecting. And the tent that we got off Amazon was not a good rain tent. Unfortunately, we had like a puddle at the base. Luckily enough, we had an air mattress, so it didn't really matter that much. It was at the base of the tent. And then the third day, I would say, was probably the worst day out of all of them as far as tenting, because we stayed in a place called Lubbock, Texas, in the northwestern corner of Texas. It was 98 degrees when we got in. And when we finally were able to fall asleep, it was like 87. It was hot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. And before we had even fallen asleep, I asked the person at the front counter, I'm like, do you have a cabin available by chance? Because they have AC in the cabins. And she's like, nope, they're all booked up. I'm like, fuck. Even before I had asked, she's like, oh, so you're tenting, huh? Yeah, it's a bit hot out. She probably thought we were crazy, but, save money. This is the cheapest of the tent sites. I think that one was like $30 that night. It was so cheap.
Damn.
On the way back, my wife and I decided to only take 2 nights instead of 3 nights. I prefer it at this point to do 2 nights. We drove up to Pueblo, Colorado, and then we drove to Livingston, Montana, and then we got back home here near Seattle. That way it was fine. And we decided to do cabins instead, which were a little bit more expensive, but because it was only 2 nights, it's about the same. It was like $130 for the $150 for the. Ooh. I shouldn't. I'm gonna gain too much weight. I already gained a lot of weight because of these fucking vacations. If you are gonna drive anywhere in the United States, just look up if there's any KOAs in the area. You'll save a little bit of money. It is a little bit more of a headache if you do tent. If you do tent, it's a little bit more of a headache, but you do save money in the long run. And for the most part, it's been fine for us, except for the rain that one day. The other thing that's nice, and Justin can probably include some other horrific stories about the mechanic shop that I went to for my car. So right after I bought my car, it's a 2015 Ford Fiesta, SC hatchback, metallic gray. I don't really care. It is, but it was cheap. I bought it at $5,800 after taxes. It was $6,500, and it only had 13,000 miles on it because it was a rebuilt title. And they wanted to get rid of it, but I think they're initially selling it for 67. I don't know how, by God's fucking hand, I guess. They thought that we had negotiated it down to 5,800. We didn't, but I said, yeah, we did, and ta-da, I got the car for 58.
Same thing you should have done in Idaho.
I guess.
No, we didn't. Oh, okay. See ya.
The problem was I called the husband, but the wife was there, and they hadn't talked to each other yet, so they didn't quite have the number right, but it was fine for us. And they wanted it off the lot anyway. Any rebuilt title, they just want off the lot because it just stays there for too long because no one wants to buy it. But when I bought it, it didn't have any AC. And I was like, for $5,800, I don't give a shit if it has AC. We live in Washington State where it maybe peaks above 90 3 weeks out of the year.
This year,
maybe. Some
The
years it
heat's
gets up to 100 or
Yeah, I
past.
know.
Sometimes
I
it's
just checked
not. But for the majority of the year, it's under 80 degrees, I would say.
boom.
Yeah, I know August, but or July. July and August are all both pretty bad in Washington, but that's pretty much it. The second it hits September, it starts to get back down into the 80s, and then the second it gets to October, it's just 50. It just tanks. So I was like, this is not a problem, but decided to take it into a local mechanic shop that Justin's currently having a problem with. In 2018, we just had them look over the AC, and they said that it's going to need a new compressor, and in order to put a new compressor in, it'll cost $800. And I was like, I currently don't even have the money for this car. My dad bought it off of the check
that
he got
include
from the
labor?
previous car that I got in an accident with. I think it was a total check, but
Does
what?
that include labor, $800?
Yes, it included
Okay.
everything. So it included the compressor and the labor back then. That was now 4 years
2,000
ago.
now
Yeah,
for this boy.
exactly. Anyway, just decided not to fix it because it was too expensive. I didn't have enough money for the car yet. I was still saving up to pay off my dad. I paid him off in a year because it wasn't that fucking difficult to do. Eventually married my wife. Blah blah blah. Anyway, history.
Happily ever after.
So when we went down to Texas, of course, in my Ford Fiesta that didn't have AC, it was a fucking nightmare. It wasn't actually that bad. If you have the windows rolled down going 70, 80 miles an hour, even if it's 90 degrees outside, you don't even quite start to sweat yet because you just have so much wind coming into your face. The only
In
the
the
only-
face?
yeah, the only problem though is if you have it open for long enough, the side of your face starts going numb. That was the only problem I
Wind
had.
burn.
Or if you slow down to a stop, then it started to get pretty hot in the car. If you stop somewhere, it was hot in the car, but the second you roll down the windows, it's also pretty loud. So when we got to San Antonio, oh my God, it was 100 degrees every day except for the first 2. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to be able to drive my car. So my mom suggests taking it to the same place that my dad took his car to, which was, I think it was called Christian Brothers or something. It's out in the western side of San Antonio. I can't remember where they're at. But anyway, I took it in there to get a second opinion. And turns out Grandma Auto was wrong. I didn't need a compressor at all. I only needed something that was a little bit cheaper. Even probably at that time, it was a lot cheaper. It's I forgot what it's called. It's like an evaporated valve. It's basically the thing that squirts the Freon into the what part?
No.
Near the dashboard that the fan blows onto. Anyway, it takes the
Very
liquid and
sexy.
puts it into a gaseous form. What?
Nothing.
A gaseous?
A gay? Just
You could
Where?
also say gaseous, but I'd rather say gaseous. So anyway, instead of $800 4 years ago, it was $550 today. And I was like, there's no
It
fucking
would
way.
taste horrible.
So yeah, Justin's been having a lot of problems with that same place that I took my car to.
Nice.
Like, how much money have you spent there so far?
It's been stressing me out since
It's like
2 months.
$5,000.
5,500, almost 6,000.
Jeez, fuck, that's a new car.
Well, yeah, your car.
Yeah. See? Well, not today.
My car was 18,000, so it's about 1/3 of the value.
It's just
Yeah.
they nickel and dime him on everything. I don't trust that
Tomorrow's
place.
gonna be interesting. That's all I gotta say.
I do not trust that place one bit. So they replaced all of his brake pads, and turns out one of the brake pads, because I'm assuming they're cheap sons of bitches that give you the cheapest goddamn part. Not only are they just fucking gross and cheap, you can tell when a brake pad's cheap because if you break a whole bunch, your rims just get caked in brake dust. Like they get really dark really fast. That's how you know they use a cheap one. The other thing is some of the cheaper brake pads have horrible quality control to where sometimes little metal filings will make their way into the brake pad, which are initially used when they're small enough to kind of make the brake pad harder. Like you encrust diamonds and
Like
certain
me?
metals and it makes them
Like
harder.
me?
Yeah. But sometimes if there's not good quality control, the brake pads will get this huge clump of metal in one spot. And as the brake pad is on the rotor, it just screams. And of course, Justin's car is screaming right now.
Was really hot. Like I got a hard on from that sound.
You must like brake screech.
Art's like screaming.
I could do that all day for you. I did it right there too. With the bees, though.
So yeah, they obviously use the
Sold!
the cheapest
Let's go.
parts that they could. As far as I know, they didn't offer any different type of brake pad. They just put brake pads on, right?
Yeah, I could get the. Yeah.
So they probably just put no. What I'm saying is, did they say you can choose these or these brake pads?
they didn't
Okay,
give me options.
so they just probably put the cheapest fucking shit in there, which I assume they do with all of their fluids or anything that's replaceable.
Just get Brimbos, bro.
No, don't get Brimbos. Those are expensive as fuck, and those aren't the brake pads. It's just the calipers. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
No, you get Akabono. Those are brake pads, by the way, for you non-car people.
Bono.
No, it's
Just a weird
that's a
name.
company. AKEBONO.
Alco Bono, whatever Austin said.
No, they make really good ceramic brakes.
Wait, what break were you talking about, Austin?
Brimbo?
Brobo?
Brimbo.
Brimbo.
Bobo.
Bobo.
I'll Afro Bono your bimbo.
Boba Fett. God damn. No, Brembo's just known for having really good calipers and rotors to where you can stop faster, but they're really not that
What
great.
did Titus Will do with brakes? Did they have nice brakes?
What? Did they change brakes?
Yeah.
What they changed them with? Just as cheap as shit?
Would it always be cheap ass?
Most people just do, or most places just do the cheap shit.
It wasn't like the cheapest.
Okay.
Well, you don't go with the absolute cheapest because you'll
Yeah,
always
I'd
have
say
customers
that-
coming back in.
Yeah.
I'd say it was like middle ground.
Okay. Yeah. I go for the top tier shit, like the brake pad pair that I got in my car, which again, Ford Fiesta, small car, small brakes, was $60 for the two front. Like most, I think I looked at the other ones that aren't as good. They were like $14 for the pair. I was like, oh, I am spending a lot more money, but man, they're so much nicer. They last a lot longer too.
$60 is nothing.
No.
Compared to what I've spent.
Well,
that's
yeah,
nothing.
because you paid for them to install the brakes, which is one of the, well, not in his car.
Is it just the brakes that are giving you problems?
I looked at his
No.
rear brake calipers
Bunch of
tonight.
shit.
Oh my God, Ford, fuck you. Okay. Every fucking car company that decides to put in something that they don't need to put in just to make it a little bit more complicated to fix it, that you come into the fucking, fuck you. You're an asshole. Every brake caliper that I've ever worked on had a normal bolt, meaning that you have the female end and you put it on the male end. His fucking car has a female and you need a male end, and no one has the fucking port!
Ford's trying to become like Tesla, where you have to go to Ford.
Every company.
Yeah.
Every fucking company is like that. It's like, you need this fat ass fucking Allen wrench to take off the brake caliper. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why didn't they just put a bolt? They didn't put a bolt because they didn't have to, and they wanted to make it more fucking difficult.
It's like putting a chastity on a car.
Chastity belt. The way you said it made it sound like chastity a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you didn't say
Well.
chastity belt.
Chastity on the car. Put that bitch on.
Where are you gonna
there.
put it on?
So I was gonna
muffler?
take off his caliper to see if the brake pad was the reason that the scratch
muffler?
in his rotor was happening, because I could obviously see a little scratch on the inside. And I was like, well, maybe I can see if it's... God fucking...
You're right.
No!
That was
You're
not
right.
me.
I know it wasn't you. But I couldn't because Ford decided to be fucking pricks. I'm sure it's every car company. It's not just Ford, but man, all of them
Yeah,
need to
they're all
stop.
bricks.
No, they just over-engineer everything. Like, in order to change my timing belt, I have to take the alternator off, drain my fucking coolant, and then remove the reservoir. Just to get to my fucking timing belt. It's so stupid. The reason I looked that up is my car's getting up to 100,000. It's gonna
Mine
die
is.
soon. Most of
Mine
those
is.
transmissions don't last
I beat
150,000.
you, bitch.
What?
Mine is at 100,000.
No, it's not. Not yet. I looked. Yours is at the 98,000, same as mine.
I will beat you. I will beat you probably.
Not the way I'm working.
I
I close every night.
I work every day,
I close every fucking night, bitch.
but you have days off.
The days off, I'm going down to the fucking beach.
Oh, nice.
So,
You might beat me.
I
drive
think I'll
about
beat you.
1,000 a week, 1,000 miles a week.
Anyway, yeah, I'm having a hard time deciding if whether or not I want to change the timing chain or timing belt. Sorry, kind of the same thing, but not. Because
lick
the
that.
transmission's gonna probably give out
I can lick
150,000,
that
so I
for
would.
you.
Ooh. Austin decided to spill some Cheez-Its on his pants, and Justin's like, "Can I suck that up
Lick
for
it
you?"
up, bud. No, I'm good.
And that's a nice bulge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's all that testicle.
I'd say.
Basically,
Oh, the other thing nice about Texas, which both of you might like as
Everything?
well.
Full
Um,
testicles.
In order to get a house at the same, at the same price. God, I can't say it.
It's because I said both.
So
testicles,
my
not wrong.
sibling, my brother, and his wife bought a house for $460,000. The square footage on the house was just around 1,000. That's a tiny ass fucking house for most of you who don't know things about houses, which I assume most of you do because everyone listening is a mature audience.
It's
I'm
not
sure.
A mobile home.
No. For the same amount of square footage, same bathroom, same room in Texas, is $197,000.
yep.
That's less than fucking half, almost. Pretty close to less than half. All right, it's about half, a little over half.
How much are
actually.
you guys gonna spend on a house?
What?
Do you guys
The
even
first
know?
house will probably be about 200,000, and then whenever we build up enough home equity in that house, we'll sell that house to buy property as well as I don't know if we will go manufactured or if we will go what's the other one?
Your hand is still black.
Yeah, I told Austin, I was like, yeah, I just use Force Lightning too much because it's just the tip.
I'm watching Star Wars right now too.
What if you could Force Lightning out of your dick? That'd be a huge fucking
Here,
stream.
I got work on my
Sorry
car.
for
battery.
Asians, it would be smaller, but I said it was a huge fucking like lightning stream because
The stream
big cock,
is
but the
small.
Asians would probably have a smaller one, you know.
Oh.
Wait, could you do it at your feet and everything? Just a fucking
No, I feel like straightly out of the urethra would be the best.
out the urethra.
Yeah, just lightning.
Yeah, kidney
Scroll
stone.
on your dick,
Kidney
not doing good
stone
enough, just-
shows
oh,
up.
shit.
The lightning just builds up in your dick. You're like, oh no.
Boom.
Yeah. Fucking
No,
the
just
emperor.
some-
Ah!
just a girl sucking your dick. You're not doing it good enough. You get shocked. Yeah, just do it better.
She
Damn,
bites
when
it.
her mouth
you
tense
kill
up
her.
like that.
She just
She bites
likes.
me.
She just likes the shocking.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, more like.
yeah.
So yeah, houses are a lot cheaper down in Texas. So even if I don't make it as far as doctor, that's probably where we're gonna get a house.
Are you gonna work at Domino's there?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think their minimum is
$2.50.
$12.50.
Oh,
I think.
Well,
I can't
with
remember.
Experience, maybe they'll give you a raise.
No, fucking doubt it. I think it was actually it was $9. No, what was it? It was something high enough that I was like, okay, yeah, that's worth it based off tips and everything. You'd probably make about $24 an hour.
And you can kind of go from Domino's to Domino's and eventually figure out which one's the best.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot in the city.
Yeah. Anyway, I did right, just stingrays, but my wife and I
that
also
threw me off too. I was like, so I'm really curious. how this is gonna be about.
my wife and I went
Wait,
to Aquatica,
wait.
which is a part of SeaWorld that is the shut up for 1 second.
But wait,
It's
You're
a-
always talking. Always. I can never get an edge with it. Like I can.
Edge?
Edward. Every time I got something to say. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.
Anyway,
Blah blah blah. I start talking.
Anyway.
Blah 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 blah.
Anyway,
Hey, blah
at
blah blah.
Aquatica,
Blah 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 blah.
my-
Blah 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 blah.
Anyway, my wife and I went to Aquatica, which is a part of SeaWorld. It's like their water park. And we decided to what is called wade with the stingrays, which is basically you stand at the water where the stingrays are at and you feed them food.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've
But,
been to one of those.
oh my God, they're so pushy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they'll just swim up to you and they'll just push on your leg and they'll slap you with their fucking fins. And they're like, feed me! Feed me, bitch! And they just spank
like
you.
they're writing you.
They're okay. What the person that worked there said, they're kind of
No.
like golden retriever puppies. They kind of just, all over you. They don't care. There's no personal space. They just,
Yeah. Golden-
and when you feed them,
Speaking of that,
they just, it's like they suction your hand. It's the weirdest feeling.
just like
So,
golden retriever puppies.
Comment on section. Let's rewind it back to Idaho.
Peanut butter.
When we went to fantastic idea.
I was thinking of penis
At
puppies,
the
that's
aquatic
what's
zoo that we went to.
Butter and Maggie.
Ah! Yeah.
We don't have to bring that up.
up. You sound like a monkey.
Yeah.
It's like banana, you know.
Yeah.
You don't bring that shit up.
Anyway,
Eat
we were
ass.
at this aquatic zoo right after the reptile zoo. And they had some really cool shit there. They had like
Shit.
Sorry.
they had like a Goliath grouper. They had
Oh, you want to explain what that is?
a Goliath grouper is basically a huge saltwater bass.
That gropes you.
You're not giving it like huge,
Huge.
as in my fucking wingspan
Yeah.
and bigger,
Like- 300
fucking pounds or larger. Like
Yeah.
these are huge fish, and they
But-
had that in this aquarium.
It was awesome. They had like
They had redfin catfish, which are
Yeah.
really cool looking.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me actually.
and they also had the ones with the human teeth. I forgot what they're called.
Paku.
Paku. Thank you.
Yeah, some
Which
I
are
can't spell.
huge.
I don't know if I did.
I
that
didn't
right.
realize.
There
yeah.
we go. Hold on. Give me a second.
How many meals?
So
does
that's
that
a
feed?
redfin catfish. One of them was about that big. Like
Yeah.
they get pretty big.
Mhm.
And yes, of course, scientists aren't very creative. Redfin. But no, they're super cool looking.
Yeah.
Their
a
barbels
baby.
or their whiskers are huge.
Yeah.
And I really want to catch one on. You look at a baby. That's an ugly baby.
It's still cute. Are the big ones edible? Like, can you
Yeah.
eat those?
They're edible, but I think with anything, the larger they get, the less they taste. So you gotta pick a certain weight range.
Well,
Yeah.
good thing nobody's gonna eat me
Yeah. What else was I looking up? Oh, it was Paku.
then. That took you guys a
I
minute.
think.
It was kind of hard to hear.
Oh, damn it.
Let me see. Paku. I think it's still
Dude,
showing
yeah,
us, right?
those were about the size. The one
Ah.
that.
So-
yeah,
Pacu have
fucking
weird teeth.
weird.
They have human teeth.
Yeah.
They're herbivores though. But
Yep.
there's one case in which someone got their nut bit off by a Pacu. This is alleged.
Damn.
This picture doesn't know justice. Fish is about yay long and
Yeah.
about yay tall.
Yeah,
It's what's the best way of saying? It is larger than a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's much larger than a football. Holy cow!
Well, I mean, there's a picture of a guy holding one
There's a picture where
right there.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was about how
that was
big
about
they
how
were.
big they were.
Yeah, they're
And,
pretty big.
yeah.
At first, I thought they were carp because I was like, okay, this kind
Well,
of body size
They-
is what a
they're
carp looks like.
Really similar to the look of a piranha.
Yeah,
but
they're-
on steroids and human teeth instead of like.
Which I think didn't they have piranha? Yeah, I think they had
No.
piranha there.
No, they didn't. They
What's
didn't
the
have
age
piranhas
of a
there.
full size one? Are they pretty old?
What?
Like,
Oh, what are the
Olympians?
sucker fishes called? It's it starts
Yeah,
with a T.
that's what I was getting to.
Oh,
Anyways,
Tang? No, not Tang. Tang is different. Tang. No. I know it's not Tang because that's Dory. Tang fish is Dory.
anyways,
Ashley!
you know the sucker fish that you put on or put in your like,
I'll put
home
in algae eater
tanks. Yeah, algae.
because that's what they are.
Yep,
Uh,
suckerfish. I've always called them suckerfish.
So,
DJ.
are we still showing this right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
think so. Yeah.
Sweet. This is probably a good side profile.
Yeah.
So they look like this, and
Yeah.
in one of the tanks in the aquarium, you could put your hand in there.
Yeah.
A lot of them were like that.
Yeah.
But these fish would come up and they would just kind of.
Oh man, it was weird. It was like being sucked off by sandpaper.
It's being like sucked off by two cats at the same time.
Yeah, it was.
I'm sorry, but that's so.
That's a pretty good description.
It's kind of like, you know how a cat's tongue kind of feels
Consignment.
like sandpaper when they lick you?
yeah.
Yeah, it basically feels like that, except it's sucking.
Yeah.
And you can feel it on two sides, but it's
Yeah.
not that.
It didn't hurt.
It's about like a
It
cat
makes-
licking you.
It makes me wonder if someone's put their dick in there before.
Oh, yes, obviously.
Oh.
But the second one latches on, all the others like,
Yep.
ooh,
Yeah.
and then you get like 5 or 6 on
damn.
your
Yeah,
fucking
it was-
hand at
it
one
was cool.
time.
Did they
It
get
was
like
great.
dead skin out of you or something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they like the taste.
That's kind of cool.
It makes me want to get one though.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
does.
You just want to be sucked
Like-
off every night, don't you?
I mean, don't we all? Don't we all want to be sucked off every night?
I mean,
I mean,
That's
you're
what
married.
women are
You're
not very
married.
good for.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I honestly have like no desire to be like having my dick sucked.
No, that's because you had a bad experience one time. I have
She
every
bit it
desire
off.
to get my dick sucked all the time.
She bit it off, didn't she?
No,
All
she
the time.
literally it was
Teeth.
probably like a total of 2 seconds, and she was like, and I was like, nope.
I'm
Because it was
good.
her first time.
No. Oh God.
Just find someone who has dentures, have them take it out, and ta-da. Imagine the fucking feeling of someone that doesn't have teeth.
Simon?
Ah no.
I don't think it would fit.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean,
you have
if you
Simon,
really
and then you have
force it-
Samson, which is like you're gonna be peeing out of more than one hole. This
God.
bitch. Okay, golden retriever puppy. He got like what, less than a month ago. Yeah.
Oh,
so
does he bite?
Another
Because
another
he's a
thing.
puppy, and he's teething.
mm,
God.
So
He
and-
he bit through my fucking ear.
Yeah.
oh, wow.
I'm not like I was bleeding, not that much, but it's like he got me like
Are you
right
guys supposed
behind
to like
the ear.
whine
And
or
he-
something whenever you?
I
get bit?
tried, but
Okay. You were pretty pissed.
because it was like a mixture of I'm surprised he bit me, so it's more like and I mixed that with so it sounded like
He's probably like, I don't know what the fuck you just did. I'm gonna bite some more.
but oh yeah, the one depressing thing about the Texas trip is you call us when we were in Idaho going down to Texas and you're like, yeah, my dog died. I'm like, this is great news. We're on a fucking vacation. So his dog. I'll let you tell the
Oh, yeah.
story.
So our golden retriever before this one that
Samson,
we have,
so
Samson, Jackson, pretty similar names, but
I thought you were gonna name it. Jackson
anyways,
2.0.
no, we've called
Michael.
him Michael.
Michael.
But anyways, so like our dog had epilepsy, basically not epilepsy, but
He had epilepsy.
he had grand mal seizures, and he had them quite frequently. They were like kind of, we'd have them a bunch, like he would have them a bunch, and then it would kind of go like a month or two without it. We're like, oh, it's doing good, and then he'd have more. But
Shit. Hold on.
what was it like?
Whoops.
It was a
I forgot.
I think it
There
was
we go.
about a month
Hopefully.
ago.
There we go.
He died, wasn't it?
It would have been July 2nd or 3rd.
Okay.
So yeah, about a month ago.
Anyways, wake up. It's like 4 a.m. and I hear a commotion in my mom's room because that's where he slept. He was only 5, so he was still quite young. He was puppy, basically a little older than a puppy. And I hear commotion. I'm like, oh, he's probably having a seizure, but I'm gonna see if my mom needs help. Kind of peek my head in, and he moved a lot. Like, he was more by my dad's closet, which is by the door, but he was here. So here's the door. I open it, and then he's kind of here. And so, I'm like, okay. She goes, yeah, he just started having one. I was like, okay. So, I was like, do you need any help? Because this was the first seizure. And then I was like, do you need any help? She was like, no, we're good. I'm like, okay. I shut the door. I, go back to bed. And then I fell asleep kind of. And then I woke up again to hearing like the same racket. And I'm like, okay, having another one, which it wasn't too
Uncommon?
Too uncommon to have back-to-back seizures, but most of the time there was 2. I think the most he had was 3 back-to-back. Anyway, so I like go in there, and then he just it was like what I would say from 4 to what was it, 5 or 5:30 or something like that. He had 13 seizures, and he wedged himself up. I couldn't get in the room because he wedged himself up against the door, so I could only open it about a crack, just enough to talk to my mom. And so she's starting to get worried. I'm like, okay, it's been going on like a long time now, and he's had it was literally right, like he would start to stop and calm down, and then boom, right back into one. And so I got out of my sister's room. I climbed out of the window, climbed on top of the roof, and then went down to her window. She let me in. He was still seizing. I kind of talked with her, and then all of a sudden the seizing stopped. And I asked, is he breathing? And then we kind of like stopped and looked, and then he wasn't. So then instinctually I just hop on him, and I started giving CPR.
Sucking his dick.
Yes. I just... massive cock. He was stiff, his legs were out.
Pulling it up like
he was
an
erect.
animal
I just
balloon.
had to jump on the chance. But
Red rocket.
but I didn't give him like mouth to mouth because there's vomit everywhere.
Yeah.
I honestly personally didn't want to do that. That
It's not
was,
easy with the dog.
yeah.
Their mouth is too big.
And so I give him CPR for probably, I'd say like 5 minutes. It was about 5 minutes.
He
I'd
might
say.
have choked on his vomit too.
He swallowed his tongue. Yeah.
Okay.
Which we didn't know he's never done that, and he wedged himself up to where we couldn't really get to him.
Yeah.
But after he stopped breathing, and I pulled him out of where he was, and I started doing CPR. It was probably about for 5 minutes, and then hysterical crying, everything, and that was our day.
Yeah.
More to it. I had to pick him up, carry him down into the yard, put a blanket over him, and then once the
Flamethrower.
My God. Damn.
Once the
It's for all the shit you've been giving me.
no, Jackson was a wonderful dog.
Once, except for when he got excited.
I guess
He'd fuck everything. No, I'm kidding.
wish.
I got my asshole ready like 15 times.
Once the vet opened up, I picked him up. He started to smell by this point, pretty bad actually. There's flies on him already. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, those fuckers are like.
I mean, he was just stiff, and this dog weighed about 80 pounds, so he was. But one of the funniest things I would have to say happened is after I carry him outside from upstairs, I basically almost immediately picked him up and took him downstairs because, I didn't want him up there and stuff. And they were hysterically crying, staring at him. And I was like, I need to do something. So I just picked him up and then took him out. Anyway, so he's stiff, he's stiff as a board. Well, not yet because he was fresh.
I mean, he was, but not like in that way,
Yeah. No, he was still fresh, dead. So his muscles haven't stiffed up, but that was
still fresh.
No,
dead.
Literally, this dog weighed like 80 pounds, a little bit more actually. He was like 86
I want to be
pounds.
fresh dead.
Me too.
Yeah.
Freshly dead. And then
fresh dead.
Okay, fresh dead. Took him outside. Anyways, I come back in and I was like, man, that dog weighs a lot. And and my mom, no joke, says this. This is probably like 10 minutes after, and they're crying on the couch, hysterically again. Like, they were hysteric for probably about 30 to an hour. They were just crying hysterically. I started crying, too, because it was insanely sad, and I will cry more with animals than I will with humans. I've always been that way. And then I came in, and I was like, man, that dog is heavy. I'm trying to light the mood and lightly, but it was still sad what I said, but I was like, gotta, say something. And then my mom comes out, well, yeah, he's just dead weight. And then I start literally, I'm in tears. Like, I'm not like hysterically crying at this point. Like, it kind of came later. It kind of came off and on, but it was for short periods of time. Yeah, I know. And then my mom says that I start crying, laughing. And not because I'm sad. That shit was so fucking funny.
It is funny.
I was like, what a fucking time to say that. Like,
I don't even think she meant to be funny with it either.
oh no.
Yeah.
The nice thing is, like, 2 weeks later, you guys got a puppy.
Yeah, literally. Actually, I
ASAP.
don't even know if it was.
I
2
don't even
weeks.
think it was 2 weeks because my wife and I went to a pound down in Texas, and I think by that time you already had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just shy of 2 weeks. Yeah. So that was an interesting day.
Sure it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it's like to have a seizure, but not to have my dog have one.
Yeah.
Although some of them have dreamed
think-
really fucking hard.
I think like the worst part of it is like he was really young and then he went out so violently. So I was like, and then that dog
Foreshadowing?
yes. And I think a lot of it was because that was my dad's dog.
Yeah.
And so he died. And then shortly after then he dies, it's like, God damn. It's
Shortly after I died.
Yeah. Just all the men in
Year after
my
year after
family
year.
just boop, 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 boop.
That's what I said. I was like, man,
Yeah.
the men seem to be
You're like-
falling down left and right. I should watch myself.
Yeah. You're like, I should start distancing myself from you. I was
Yeah.
like, why? He's like, all the men in your life just start dying. I'm like, yep. Yep. But yeah,
Well, no, but yeah, sorry.
good shit.
Another lighter mood. My wife and I went to a pound in Texas. That was
I'm gonna pound your pound.
anyway, we found like 3 or 4 dogs that if we were ready, we probably would have adopted all of
Ready
them.
to pound?
No.
Oh.
One of them's name I think was Boston, I think. I can't remember, but it was a 1-year-old pit bull puppy, and the second you went in, he was like, he would greet you and he was super friendly. And the other thing is, if you were kind of, which you had
Like-
to do, because these were very
Like
small
friendly
rooms.
or like friendly?
Soon to find out.
All right.
Um,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But you kind of had to lean over to get them, so you had to squat down a little bit. And whenever you
Lean
squat
over.
down, this dog would like just like nuzzle into you. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, those are the most.
Like the ones that just kind of flop into you. I was like, oh god, if you didn't stink like a motherfucker right now, because I think he rolled in his own shit. I'm like, oh, this is
You know,
great.
This thing brings me back to childhood. Sucking on the tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was another one that was
I
a
thought we were still
Mastiff
talking
mix.
about dogs when he said that. I was like, why are we sucking dogs' tits?
Anyway, there's a Mastiff
Because
mix.
there's so many of them. It's just pick and choose which one you
They have
want.
more than
It,
two.
it had a brindle coat, and at first super reserved. It was like, I don't know if I should go in there. He might be scared. This is a big dog. I should be careful. I went in there and started petting him, and a little bit harder
a
and
lot more
harder.
than petting him.
And then, shut the fuck up.
This is what you were doing with
I
me.
know. I'm starting to fucking catch on, bitch. Anyway, he started to open up, and when he opened up, he had the goofiest
Like,
fucking
opened up?
personality. Fuck you. He had a goofy personality, like some boxers. You know how goofy they are. He was kind of like that. Like he'd kind of jump up on you, and he'd put his paws on you. But instead
Wait.
of just looking at you, he'd kind of do this weird, like side eye, like.
Was the cartoon Goofy?
Gosh. Guilty.
Fucking do it again. That's
Why don't you grab my ears while you fuck my butt? I love that one.
Yep. Guilty.
Yeah. And one of them was like super just reserved and sweet. I can't remember the others because it's been too long, but yeah, that's not really necessary.
Suck this nipple dry.
Ooh. Suck mine dry, but it's already dry, so don't suck.
Damn it.
The other thing that was nice is, I know I get made fun of this, but my dream car is I don't remember which generation, but it's Mustangs between 2016 to 2020. Ford Mustang GT.
What about a 1960s Mustang?
No.
What the fuck?
I don't want to be forever working on that shit and worrying about, oh my God, this part might break and that part I can't fix because they don't make parts for it anymore. Like, no.
They're a dime a dozen.
It has a
any
fucking
junkyard.
carburetor. I don't want a fucking carburetor. Plus, those things are fucking slow. 0 to 60 in like
So
10
what?
seconds.
You have like a profit.
It's not profit.
You get one, fix it up, sell it.
You know how much the shitty ones cost? $40,000. You can buy a brand new Ford Mustang this year for less money than you can fucking.
Yeah, because they're worth less money.
Yeah, they are, but I'd rather have the new one, you know, because the engine's bigger. It sounds better in my opinion.
Ooh.
Mine's an EcoBoost.
My
know,
dream car is
but
not a
yours not a
fucking
Mustang.
EcoBoost. Do your fucking research, bitch. A Ford Mustang GT does not have an
I know.
EcoBoost. Fuck you.
But the ones nowadays,
Most of them are
most
EcoBoost.
of them are EcoBoost,
Oh,
which I'm
I
like,
share the same
fuck?
disdain for. I share the same disdain for. It's the
Isn't
ugliest.
that bad for a car?
Okay.
EcoBoost?
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't car people, which is a lot of you who are watching us currently, most of you being
Justin.
women,
I'm a woman.
an EcoBoost engine is an engine that Ford made, and they decided to twin turbo it, which just means that it wears down the engine much, much faster, which means people like Austin had to fix them all the time. They're one of the worst engines ever made because they break down every about, I think they have engine oil issues as early as 30,000 miles if you ride them hard enough.
Yep.
So,
I'll ride them hard enough.
not a very reliable
me
engine.
hard enough.
However, a
Ride you hard
5-liter
I'll
V8
ride you
naturally
raw.
aspirated, as long as you're not being an absolute dumbass will last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coyote 5-liter. But anyway,
I've waited a while.
shut up. When we're in Texas, there's only one spot that I know of that you can get one or rent one. Not get one, rent one. And I just wanted to rent one for the day and had everything lined up, went in that day, and turns out, because I'm not 25 years old yet, that the way that I did it, I couldn't get one. So they would try, and it would just say every time that they try to make it go through, if you're under 25, it won't let them. Luckily enough, the person at the front counter knew a little bit of a loophole where you can't get it outright, but if you buy a smaller or an economy car and upgrade to it, it's totally fine. Of course, it costs like $70 more per day, but I was like, I don't care. I really want to drive this car. So I go through the first obstacle, which I knew be my age, and I go up to the second booth, which is in the little parking garage they have there. And I get there and I ask, this is this. And she's like, oh, yeah, they're all just over here. And I was like, and I don't see Mustang. Do you have a Mustang? She's like, I'm not sure. I know we have the Camaro out there. We have I think the other one was like a Charger, like a Hemi Charger. Nice. I was like, no, I'm just looking for a Ford Mustang GT. And she's like, well, there's one right here. But it was in like a reserve section. And I was like, this is interesting. But I get in it. Works out just fine. Go out to the exit booth. When I get to the exit booth, he scans the door. And he says, can't let you rent this one. It's on hold. And I'm like, it was the only one I could see. I was like, this is fucking phenomenal. So I go through this whole headache and I can only drive the Mustang like 50 feet. I'm like, no, it's so stupid. And it sounded so good on startup too. I was like, no, fuck. Of course, my mom was already on the way back home. So I had to call her. I'm like, I don't think it's going to work. So she had to come all the way fucking back. And by the time she's like 3/4 of the way back, as they're trying to find the other Mustang that I was just in, because where I parked, it was kind of where all the other cars were. There's just like a line of cars, so the people could, I don't know who, but would just drive them to a different parking spot. And they didn't take it to where it should have gone. So because of that, one of the other workers had to go and look for it because they're going to see why it was on hold. Because if it was just an oil change, it'd be like, you could probably just wait here. And turns out they find another Ford Mustang GT that was in the wrong spot. And that one was fine, got in it, and I could leave. I'm like, you fucking bitch. Like, I've been here for like 30 fucking minutes to get my dream car. Thought I wasn't going to be able to get it. And they're like, oh, you sure you don't want to try out the Camaro? I'm like, no. And then it's like, okay, just take it off. If it's not going to work, just take it off. And then the guy starts taking me somewhere. I'm like, oh, I don't think you understood me.
Hey.
I don't need a rental car. I just want to rent this car. He's like, you don't need a rental car? Like, no, I don't want a rental car. I just want that car to rent. And he's like, huh. I was like, no, I'm in the area. Like, I have, like, my mom dropped me off. She'll pick me up. It's like, it's no big deal. Just, like, cancel it. And they're still trying to convince me to take Camaro. So I'm like, fine, fuck it. I'll go in the Camaro. Go in the Camaro, turn it on. I'm like, this thing sounds like ass. Like, I turn it on, because I just got the comparison with the Mustang. Turn on the Mustang. It's like, oh, fuck, yeah. Camaro's like, I'm like, the fuck is this? It sounds like a fucking 4-cylinder. Like, what the hell? I was like, nope, doesn't work. Fuck it. Nope. And got out and eventually found it, and I drove a Mustang. It was so fucking nice.
Do you think they found it, or they're like, we're gonna hide this
they
Okay.
It was in the wrong spot, but they eventually found it. It was a black one, and yeah, I was like, even better because the first one was white. Black is always better. But no, the worst thing about the Mustangs though is the 10-speed automatic transmission. If you put that bitch in Sport Plus, you slam on the gas, it doesn't know which gear to go in. So you'll go 0 to 60, but it'll be 0 to 30 will be just fucking rock your shit. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, I'm gonna lose control because the transmission's trying to figure out which gear to go into. It's like, god damn. But if I was in like normal mode, like drive mode, it'd be fine. But if it's in sport, it's like I gotta pick one fast. Like, just it sucked. But it was so fast. It was so nice. I'm not gonna say how fast I went, but it was up there. But no, I love the sound. I still love the car. It's still my dream car, and I want one. But they're like $35,000 right now, and I don't have that money. Actually, I do have that money, but my wife and I are saving up for a house. If I was a single man, you best believe I'd have that fucking car.
No, you wouldn't. You couldn't afford it.
Oh yeah, I could.
I love
we're at
how
Domino's.
you brought up in your notes. Talk about stories if Austin can reciprocate.
I was
If Austin
distracted by
can
this.
reciprocate. So
Yeah.
you know who Mr. Ballin is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on YouTube. I've just been nonstop watching those videos.
Oh,
And I can't tell you how paranoid you'll get if you just nonstop watch those videos.
Mm-hmm.
My trust
I
in
love
people
them.
has dropped a lot
Yeah.
after watching that because I'm like, holy
Yeah,
fuck.
they're
Like, I
dark.
went home by myself in the dark. I'm like, oh, there might be someone in this house. I was like, ah! Like, well, I know where my gun is, but if he's in between me and my gun, I'm fucked. Oh, well, I might die. But no, super, as far as I can tell, super good storyteller. Like it's
The-
always interesting. The next thing he says,
And they're
and the way
they're
he
accurate.
and the way he reveals
Yeah.
things too. He doesn't just let all the
Yeah.
information
You can
out. He starts with a
visualize
little bit of information,
ahead.
works his way up.
Well, he
and
takes you
sometimes
on a
goes back.
story.
Yeah.
So he tells you a story like you were almost like
There.
kind of like
What I didn't know is he's a Navy
Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Or
It's
he
weird.
was.
Yeah.
He's not no longer,
well,
obviously.
he still is.
Is he?
You're a Navy SEAL for life,
Well,
unless there's some reason
I'm-
that it's removed from you.
I'm more saying like in
Okay,
the
he
Corps.
no longer
He's
is
no
in the
longer
military.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No,
it's
you
pretty
know
cool.
any stories? Like I know the most fucked up one I've heard so far, and I've listened to probably
It's-
about
a
30.
guy
It's
was
been a
crushed.
while, but I think there was one, and it was about like missing children too. It's like a missing child. That fucked me up a little bit.
I remember the previous
Oh.
one. It's getting sucked through a hole from a
Airplane.
Hydraulic chain.
Oh
Got-
yeah, I
got
saw that
crushed
one. It was
through
off
a
of an oil
small
rig,
hole.
and because the person who was in the office that had the button to shut off or shut down the winch, he was distracted. The cable just kept going and going, and this guy is freaking out trying to stop, but he gets pulled in pelvis first, and he ends up dying. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. There's one worse.
Mm.
So there's this father who is super abusive, as a lot of these stories begin.
Mm.
Anyway, this daughter didn't like him. Was the only one in the family that stood up to him. The wife wouldn't, or her mother wouldn't, and her sister wouldn't. So she was the only one that did. And of course, because of that, the father despised her the most. And at one point, she just goes missing. I can't remember what year. It's like in the 80s. She just goes missing, and they think that she probably just ran away because she had run away before. And I think it was like 24 years later, there was a girl that went into the hospital and just completely stunned the doctors because there's no medical records of hers anywhere. Like she just dropped on to the fucking planet, and turns out her grandfather who was with her was this girl's father. Elizabeth is the daughter's name, but the granddaughter, I can't remember her name. And doctors are like, so what's going on? Like she's having, is it a genetic condition? And the grandfather's not being super forthcoming. He's not really giving any information. So they call the cops, the doctors do, because they're like, something's fishy here. And the cops figure out that, you know, if this is his granddaughter, it might be Elizabeth's daughter. So they need Elizabeth to come forward. Eventually, they just release a whole bunch of stories out to be like, Elizabeth, if you're out there, come here so we can, you know, figure out what's going on with your daughter. So I think like a week from there, she comes out to the hospital with the grandfather or her father, and she's super timid. She doesn't say anything. And eventually she goes into the interrogation room with the police officers because they're like, okay, we need to figure something out because this girl, your daughter, is going to die if you don't tell us what's going on. So she's like, and if she does die, you can be held criminally liable. And once they said that, she started to
Talk.
very softly say, I'm going to tell you the story. Turns out the father had locked her in a bunker that he was building in the 80s. It was like a nuclear bunker, not uncommon then.
Yeah.
He locked her in the bunker and sexually assaulted her every day for 24 fucking years, and she ended up having 6 of his kids. One of which was the granddaughter. I was like, holy fucking shit, you're trapped in for 24 years raising your own kids, and the only person you have with the outside world or contact with the outside world, it's your father who abuses you every day. It's like, holy fucking shit. And if it weren't for her going out to the hospital, this would have never been figured out.
Wow.
And it turns out that the daughter just had, or the granddaughter just had a vitamin D deficiency because she had been living in that shelter for her entire life. So she never saw the sun.
Damn.
Not only that, but
How old were the kids?
whenever Elizabeth walked into the room with the doctors, they were like, are you sure this is Elizabeth? She's supposed to be like 32 years old. She looks like she's 65 because she had been in the bunker for such a long time. She'd been aging so much faster. It was like, holy fucking shit. But yeah, I was like, Oh, that's the most fucked up I've ever heard. Because 24 fucking years
Yeah.
locked in a basement where you're. I can't say that. Can't say that. Assaulted by your father and have his kids. And a lot of people were like, well, maybe it was an accident that had the kids. But he later confessed that he actually forced her to have kids on purpose so that she would be his property, because even if she did manage to get out, because she has so many kids, she can't find someone else. She can't find a man. So it's like, this guy is fucked up. Like, holy shit. Like, how the fuck did no one find that out? And they later find out the wife was so scared of him that even if she did hear something, she didn't say anything, because if she said something, she's going to get her ass fucking beat. So it's like, oh,
Well, more than
God.
just her ass beat.
More than that.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy fucking
Damn.
shit. And he was so elaborate that there was a key, like a keypad that he had made specifically that only he could get through. And there's no way to like get through this door except for using the keypad. You couldn't destroy the keypad. You couldn't wire it in such a way for it to open up, because he was an electrical engineer. The only way to get through is to put in the key. Like, you couldn't like break off a panel and connect wires here
Right.
and there. It wouldn't work. I was like, holy fucking shit, this fucking satanic asshole.
Yeah.
What was also crazy is during the trial, right after he got sentenced, the only time that she saw her father, except for, of course, being in the basement in the hospital, she walked past him and he turned and she said, or, no, this is a different story. Never mind. Scratch that. Different story. I'm getting it mixed up. But yeah, apparently he can be released in, I think, about 6 years. So on parole, which is like, fuck that shit. He should be in solitary confinement for 24 plus years.
Or sentenced to death.
And fucked by Big Earl every night until he gets out.
That should be a sentence. Get fucked by Earl.
Be forced to fucking pass babies out of his asshole. God damn. Anyway, I think that was the worst one I heard.
I like the mystery ones where no one knows what happened. at the
There's
end.
one where, so I'm gonna go to Bree's house tomorrow.
Mhm.
There's someone who has been missing for probably the better end of 20 years. His name was Bryce, redhead. They haven't found him in 30 years. I'm like, kind of looks like him. They have like a tattoo. I was gonna show Bree. I'm like, did Bryce ever have this tattoo? It'd be funny. We find fucking the Bryce that went like missing probably 20 years ago. See, just made a new life for himself, because his fucking story was weird. Like, he
Wait,
was
Bryce.
Old boyfriend.
it was
Oh.
yeah, old boyfriend. Just kind of matched a little bit, but I don't know if it's the same.
Well,
But
he has parents and everything. Like,
What?
I've seen his family. Bryce's family.
are you sure that's his family?
Good point.
But no, it took place in California, so I'm not sure. Like, to me, it sounded like it was an attempted suicide, and he may have been successful because he had handed his best friend his very expensive diamond earrings and also gave him his Xbox, which in suicide cases, if someone has already gotten to the point where they're gonna go through with it, they will act cheery or they'll act in a better mood than normal, and being their depressed state, and they will often give gifts to people who are significant in their lives. So if you have someone who is depressed and you think might be suicidal, and they start giving you heirlooms or very expensive gifts that are very important to them, you should immediately think, this person might, he hasn't given me anything yet, so I think we're fine. Justin, fuck you. So he had done this to his best friend, so he was probably gonna end up doing that. He broke up with his girlfriend suddenly, and then he kind of veered off, and he was saying he was gonna go back home, but every time that he was found, he was just sitting in his car with his hands on the steering wheel facing forward, and he would do that for hours long, which would tell me that he's thinking about what he's going to do inevitably. And eventually he's only like 20 miles from his parents' house, which is about like an 8-hour trip from the school he was going to. And then he veered off of a cliff, and they said that he accelerated to go off the cliff, which told them that it was attempted suicide. Landed, not a lot of blood, they said. And they said he obviously got out, and he walked. they took dogs, and those dogs kind of took it down near a creek to a small little dam. They crossed the dam. They went to the other side, and it would just stop on the other side. Like it would just stopped right near a truck stop. I'm like, well, could have either gotten in a truck or he went into the lake, one or the other. But I don't think he drowned himself because the car was totaled. So I was like, he probably just disappeared. So,
Yeah.
especially because they haven't found his body in a lake. It's pretty easy to find a
Yeah.
body in a lake. Even bones, remains. It's not that difficult, and it didn't seem like that big of a lake. So, yeah.
Well, maybe he took it as a sign from God, like, well, I guess I'm not ready to die yet.
Apparently,
I'd probably, like, if you drove off a cliff and survived with no scratches or hardly any scratches.
he was acting really strange though, and it was after he took medicine recreationally that is used for, I believe, ADHD patients, but you shouldn't use recreationally. Not only that, but I heard a story right after that same person, Mr. Ballin, where a kid, college age, took that same medication and alcohol at the same time, and then whenever he went back to his family, they noted acting completely different, totally crazy, and there was footage of him going into a restaurant with his family. He looked like he was going to go to the bathroom. Then he went outside, came back, went back to the table, got up like 2 minutes later, went outside. And when he went outside, he walked all the way to his parents' house, and his mom found him like jugging down vegetable oil. Fucking weird. And eating Parmesan cheese. I understand the Parmesan cheese. I'll do that sometimes if there's nothing else, but vegetable oil, that's weird.
Yeah.
So after that, he gets changed, and then he goes back to the restaurant. He sits down. He gets in an altercation with his dad because his dad said, "What the fuck is going on with you? Like, what's your problem today?" Kind of thing. Like, you've been so erratic. And of course, he pushes him off. He's kind of a little bit aggressive about it. He runs out the store. Oh, fuck you, Mike. Why is it like
mic
that?
do you
Oh, I know why.
Because of these.
But what happens when he runs out the store the second time is he makes his way down a neighborhood, and he sees there's someone inside of a garage who might be able to help him because he feels like he's a bit delusional. So he goes toward the garage, and this woman who's just in her garage, he starts just beating the absolute fucking shit out of for no apparent reason to everyone around him. Neighbor hears screaming going on in a commotion, so he runs out and he tries to pull off, I think his name was Michael, or is it Brandon? I can't remember, one or the other. And he pulls him off of her as he's just fucking punching him, pulls him off, gets him off enough, and then he feels as if, I can't remember his name, punches him in the face, which of course dazed him for a little bit, but he was still on his feet. So he kind of takes him again because he went down toward the woman and started punching him again. He took him and he just slammed him up against the ground. And this neighbor noticed that his face was feel like really bad pain. It was down his back, and he reached up and he saw a whole bunch of blood, and he looks down at, I don't remember, let's say Brandon. He looks down and he sees that he has a knife, and he had punched him in the head with a knife, as well as the way he stabbed him. It also went down through his neck or out his back. And he was like, oh shit. So now he's in full like survival mode. I need to get away, and I need to call the police because I can't face a guy with a knife. You can't. You shouldn't. He goes back home, calls the police. Mr. Ballin plays that police recording, which is always ominous every single time. But shortly afterward, the neighbor started hearing more noise happening, and he was hoping that, he had gone away, but he didn't. He started hearing the kid that he had just beat up start making animal noises like growling, and he started hearing more screaming happening, and he was like, what the fuck is going on? The cops start to show up, and as they show up, and a female cop runs around one side of the vehicle, the male cop goes around the other side, and as they come around, they see a male on the ground on his back, and it's not the kid, it's the husband of the person he had just beat up. And they're like, what the fuck's going on? They can't quite see what's going on because the kid's over on kind of on his side of the guy, and they're up against the car, so they can't see what's going on. But I think the husband's name was John. said, "Help me!" Like, help me. It's like I can't fucking do anything here. Fucking help me. So the female cop see what's going on. Michael, I think it was his name was Michael, was just really grabbing on tight on one side of John, but she couldn't shoot him because they were too close. So the male cop comes around and sees what he was doing. He was taking his finger and doing a hook like this so he could take a chunk out of his cheek, and he would chew it and swallow it. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So after the cop sees that, of course, that would stun anybody, even a cop. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Anyway, he tries to tase him. No effect. Doesn't do anything. And he just punches the ever-living shit out of his face, kicks him multiple times. Nothing. He still goes back in, bites off another fucking chunk out of his cheek, and both cops note that there's multiple chunks taken out already. Like, this has been going on for a couple minutes. And then eventually backup arrives with the canine. The canine comes in, bites the arm that he's grabbing on, Michael's grabbing on to John with, grabs the arm, and instead of him snapping out of it, he takes his arm and rips it out of the dog's mouth, probably ripping off a whole bunch of tissue just to do it again. And he just do it over and over again. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
He's
like
on some weird shit.
No, it's a form of psychosis where you believe that you're an animal, but what his account was later on, they were able to get his account, but in that state they were not. They eventually arrested him. Both John and his wife died. The wife died due to blunt force trauma, and even though the husband didn't lose that much blood, I think he ended up dying of probably sepsis or something because it got infected. Dog was fine though. Family dog was fine. As well as the canine, I'm sure. I was like, man, to fucking rip your arm out of a dog and just have all that come out. And he did it twice.
Yeah.
And he was going to keep doing it, but the cop timed it just right where he pushed him off and then just landed on top of him and just slammed his head into the ground just enough to where he could get handcuffs on him and stun him. But once he snapped out of it, he basically gave his account. He thought he was being chased by some dark figure with a white face. Obviously, he's psychotic at this point. So he runs down and he tries to get help, and he sees the woman. He's like, oh, she might be able to help me. Once he gets up there, he says he realizes that she looks like a witch. So he starts beating the living fucking shit out of her. He doesn't remember the neighbor coming by. He said didn't remember that at all. But once he turned around at one point, he saw this dark figure, which most people thought was the husband, John. And he said once he saw the dark figure, he just felt like he passed out. He doesn't remember anything.
Maybe he was possessed.
No, he wasn't possessed. It was the drugs that he was on caused a major shift in his attitude. So he was actually, at that time, before leading up to this, when he went to college, he was going into pre-med, and he was trying to become a doctor. And from what everyone said, he was always there to help people. It was the thing that brought him the most joy, was to help people. But the second he came back home from school, he started acting more delirious, like something's going on. His family thought he was on drugs, as you would. And turns out when they did a toxicology report on him right after they pulled him off of John, the only thing in his system was a very small amount of THC. Otherwise, he was completely sober. I was like, what the fuck? And one of the psychologists said, yeah, him going back and just consuming the flesh of John tells me that he was in a psychotic state or psychosis, which means he wasn't there. And the reason he says that is every human being, even when on drugs, has a survival instinct. So if a cop points a gun at you, you'll stop. Or if you get tased, in some instances anyway, you'll stop. Or if a dog is chewing your arm off, you'll stop. But he never stopped. He would just keep going after it as if that was his only goal. He didn't care about anything else. He just wanted to do this. Tells him, or the psychologist, that he has no reason at this point. He's psychotic. Obviously was insane. And what's also kind of disheartening is, as he broke out of psychosis, I think he went on Dr. Phil at one point and he apologized to the family profusely.
He didn't go to prison or anything for
nope. And I don't know how you would send him to prison. He was completely sober, but he was in a psychotic state almost every probably every single one of the cops would probably tell you that too. Like, there's no way anyone who is sane would keep chewing off this guy. No motive either.
Yeah, but
It's
you
like-
would
it's
have
not
to go
like-
to the loony bin or something.
It
There's no
may,
such thing.
yeah, you do
There's no
go to
such thing as
psych wards. I
mental-
think he did go to a psych ward, but I can't remember what happened. But yeah, don't
I'll think-
take medication for ADHD if you don't have it, especially if you don't know what the dosage are, because this is the second story I've heard so far. It's the same medication. Can't remember what it's called, but don't fucking take it because it'll fuck you up.
I thought there was no such thing as psych wards nowadays.
What?
Psych wards. I thought they were
There's some. They're typically just called mental institutions.
Yeah.
If you plead, or you plead
Guilty
insanity,
as insanity. Yeah.
by way of insanity, it's actually worse than just going to prison because the
Yeah.
place you go to, you have. It's like being in solitary confinement your entire time there, and until they can treat you, which is hard to do, you can't be released. So it's basically a life sentence. Yeah. And there's several other like missing people or hitchhikers that got chopped up. That one was interesting. That's the one where the girl who her left arm was chopped off by this guy, her right arm was chopped off by this guy. He chucked her off of a 30-foot drop and stuffed her into a small culvert. She eventually got out, found and everything. He went to jail, but as she passed him, he said, "Once I get out, I'm going to finish the fucking job." And he looked her dead in the eyes and I'm like, why can't the judge, and the judge gave him the maximum, but the maximum at that time was 15 years. Unfortunate, but I feel like if the judge heard that, he'd be like, 30 years. Just, you want to say something else?
No, I would do life.
I would have done life too. It's like that the victim is probably going to be more terrified throughout their life than just fucking A.
Yeah.
And
Yikes.
in lighter news, Joe Biden says he has cancer,
But
That's
yes,
good.
but he has
Was that a
COVID.
gaffe?
Yeah, it was a gaffe. Because he basically said that people in Delaware, because of, I think, coal mining or whatever it was, that there's a higher rate of cancer and that everyone in his family has cancer. He has cancer. And it was like, huh, does he? It's like everyone's acting like the president of the United States doesn't, because you would think president of the United States says, hey, everybody have cancer. It's at this stage. Everyone kind of gets somber for a moment. But everyone's like, no, normal. Just go on your day to day. Joe Biden just, I got prostate cancer. And everyone's like, oh, good. Oh, yeah, it's cute, Joe Biden. Wow. While you're over there doing whatever you're doing, we're going to do this over here. And we're going to fuck you in the ass.
Would you rather
Whatever
Joe-
it may be.
Would you rather Joe Biden or Kamala Harris?
What?
Neither.
To be the
Is
president.
that's.
Oh, I thought you meant the one to have cancer.
I feel like there's a
Well.
trick question to this.
There is a trick question. I don't feel like she has any credibility in being in her office. The only reason she ever got to office is because she slept with a mayor,
Oh, I was gonna say because she's
a
a woman.
married mayor. So she's a fucking slut.
I'd say.
Or at least her past self was a bit like that. But that's how she got into her political career. She slept with a mayor, and he gave her a position in office.
You could
and
just hold it right.
it's got to be ominous. Also, I was just right before you got here, I was just looking at news, and apparently wildfires are starting in California. Woo! Yeah! Burn them! I'm kidding. I don't.
Holocaust 2.0.
God, Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it just burns.
Is it just
that
California
whole
that has
fucking-
fires, or is it just because they have so much population that they're like, oh shit, we gotta.
I
tell
mean,
the whole nation
when
about
Ashley and I went down to Texas, there was 2 wildfires in Idaho.
this. Why is California
And by the time we
so
went back to
important?
Idaho, they were both gone.
Why the hell is California more important than other states?
Because their infrastructure is so shitty that they constantly have fires and then they can't put them out. I mean, if it was up to Kamala Harris, she would just keep people in jail for longer than their sentence required so that she could have cheap labor for them to fight fires. She did that. Like, people were supposed to get out probably about 6 months before they were supposed to because she just wanted the 60 cents an hour. Most of them were black, by the way. So, I don't think she cares. I think she's a sociopathic bitch.
Well, obviously.
You know, I mean, most people in
I mean,
political office.
I mean, have you seen her laugh?
Oh my god. It's like fucking witch.
And it's unnecessary times too.
Oh my God. Asked a serious question. So, when will you visit Libya? Well, it's like, holy fuck, like Mickey Mouse. If he did that, I would be creeped the fucking shit out. So, Mickey, it says here that no deaths at any of your Disney parks. Well, yeah, that is true because we technically keep them alive until they're fucking out of our park. Stop dying, people. That is true, by the way. Technically, no one has died in a Disney park because they do CPR for such a long period of time. Even if their head is popped off, they do CPR until they can get the body off, and they say they died outside the park to keep their. No one's died at Disney. Although technically, a woman in one of the amusement rides, that one of the employees at the amusement rides, got trapped in one of the carousel walls and got crushed to death. So I would say that that's a death.
Yeah.
Maybe they tried to resuscitate her until.
It wasn't our fault.
Just. She's alive! Oh, there's a rib. Oh, fuck it.
Rip it out.
It just got the heart. She's alive, I swear. Half her body's over there. It's like, oh, we got to do CPR over there too. God. Oh, the other thing too. So I don't know if any of you know this, but polio has not been a thing in the United States for well over 100 years. And guess what? The first polio case came back to New York, of all places. New York City, homeless person. Go figure. Yeah.
What is polio?
Polio is
Forgot.
a virus
Very
that
deadly
is
virus.
not actually that deadly to most people. Adults or anyone over the age of 12 doesn't really struggle that much with polio. Anyone under the age of 12 has like a 50% chance of the virus attacking their nervous system, especially in the spine, making it to where they can't even breathe on their own. So the
They're
whole
paralyzed.
iron
They're
lung.
alive.
I don't know if you've seen the iron lung before.
There's
Yeah.
still a guy alive. from it.
They're still alive, but they can't really do anything on their own other than move their head, blink their eyes, and talk. That's about it. So polio's not very good for children. So hopefully it spreads everywhere in the United States.
Yep, I was about to say the same thing. Good
Another
riddance.
thing, which I found very daunting, apparently monkeypox has been found in a child, which I will show you right now
What?
why that's fucked up. So monkeypox, by the way, its main vector of being spread is through gay anal sex. Why the fuck do children have monkeypox?
I've heard some illnesses spread through the womb.
95% are believed to be transmitted during sex between men.
Yeah, but what about the 5%?
You think the children are a part of the 5%? These children are like
I'm
14,
just-
by the
I'm
way.
just
They're
fucking
like
with you.
maybe 12 and 13. Okay.
They're probably fucking
How
other,
many?
Someone is fucking them kids.
or the kids are fucking other kids.
Well, those kids would have then had to have been fucked by a man
Yeah, but I mean,
who fucked another man.
Nowadays, I mean, they're brought up with, you know,
There's so much wrong
No
with
idea
society. God should burn us
what-
all. If monkeypox is in
Yeah.
children,
I mean, nowadays in schools and everything, they teach you you don't know your sexuality. You will never know your sexuality. We're gonna confuse the fuck out of you until you become this,
Damn.
or you just don't give a fuck and you become me.
in which case, either way, you
Either
lose.
way, it's not
Oh,
good.
Shoot.
Ah.
I think that was my last thing, but there's also a couple articles articles in here that I wanted to show because I thought they were funny. This one's done. Let's delete that one. This one I thought was funny, bit insensitive. So if you're not into that, oh well. You tuned into the show. So apparently there's a cafe in Illinois that was vandalized. CNN says with hate speech because of a drag show. I can tell you why they were vandalized, because they advertised it as family-friendly drag show. How the fuck is men dressing provocatively as women to dance and sing and do all these things, which very provocative. I can even show you what they look like for the most part. How could they deem it family-friendly? So I'll continue reading because I forgot what I was going to say.
You forget?
I
what
know.
to say?
Apparently there's supposed to be a raffle drawing and everything. which I don't know what
What,
it's
to
for.
get
Maybe to have
fucked?
sex
Maybe
with.
that's where
That's
the monkey pox.
Yeah.
The monkey pox.
Oh, hold on. Yeah. Drag queens performing, singing, lip singing, and dancing. They don't say how dancing, but I can tell you for sure that it is not unprovocative. I think the owner says that the graffiti on the side of the building and brick walls included hate speech, but didn't say in the article anywhere what that was. I am assuming it's the F word, not UCK, but the other one. I don't know. They don't say, which I understand. Anyway, the owner said, and this is what's really funny to me. Okay, you see this on the side of the building. It's been like, your building's been somewhat destroyed. Some of the windows have been caved in, and you see the graffiti. And instead of doing what I'm about to read, and you're probably already reading ahead of me, instead of because of the windows, no, it's because of what was written over here in the graffiti that made her do this. When I first saw, I just started crying. That was my reaction. I just started crying. I was scared. I was hurt. I was angry. I was disgusted because, God forbid, people don't like drag queens teaching their kids how to fuck. Just saying. Okay, I don't condone any of the behavior that happened because apparently there had been multiple threats to build a business in person and online. Don't do that. Obviously, I don't condone that behavior at all. Don't destroy anyone's building. Don't do that. It's dumb. But her reaction is not equally, it's about as dumb, I would say. If your building gets, like, I would be frustrated. I'd be like, God, now I gotta pay for a fucking window. I gotta clean this fucking shit off my thing because I got the fucking clowns coming in to teach the kids how to have sex, and I can't have them see this. And like, oh God, fuck, I'm frustrated. Not, oh my God, how could they? But yeah, the other thing I noted is they again said family-friendly events like Drag Queen Story Hour, in which drag queens read to children at public libraries in an effort to promote literacy and compassion. Compassion for getting that ass, I guess. I couldn't say pussy.
Dick.
Yeah. Or the family-friendly brunch uprising had planned. You know what? I'm gonna look up drag queen because, okay, they're also gonna give me the vanilla shit. They're not gonna give me the like. Kids should not have to see this, especially when you consider that this happens all the time. The dances that they... Oh, shit. Where'd my... Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. I just can't hear me. So, hold on.
Finally.
Let me take that off so I can actually hear myself. Anyway, they will dance like this. They're fully grown men dancing in front of children in what looks like a bra and a strap-on. Just fucking crazy. Okay. Even if they're just reading to kids, there's been instances in which, yes, Drag Queen Story Hour, they read to kids. Not only that, but the guy goes onto the ground and has the kids crawl all over him, which is insane to me how any parent could allow that. If I have a kid, the second I see, hold on, let me show it again. If I see this face, I'm immediately turning my kid around and making sure that person never gets anywhere near my kid. Because I don't trust that person with my kid. I don't think anyone should trust that person with their kid. There have been multiple people that are drag queens that have said, we stop having the kids do this. The reason drag queens even exist is because it's a very provocative homosexual thing. Like, at homosexual clubs, drag queens dance provocatively as if they are women, kind of like as a mockery for the most part, I think. But they do that as like a look at me kind of thing. It was always a hypersexualized thing for men to dress like that in gay bars. It was always that way, but now we're introducing it to kids for some stupid fucking reason. Not only that, but some kids are dressing in drag and stripping in front of adults and getting money for it. I know you're done with this. I've gotten too preachy. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's sickening.
I just thought you looked bored, like, oh yeah, I know the kids.
I'm just
whatever.
thinking.
It's like, it's just kids.
Yeah, they don't really. Never mind.
Oh, this was the other funny thing. I don't know if I'm showing it, and I don't know how loud that was, but
I kind of want to see that.
this is a funny thing. So in Russia, There was a kid playing chess against a robotic arm,
Yeah.
and the robotic arm breaks this child's finger in it. I don't know why I found it so funny.
I think that's hilarious.
He's a 7-year-old kid, and apparently the robot was rented, or at least according to the venue. And the venue's owner said the robot broke the child's finger. This, of course, is bad.
Oh shit.
Oh.
I think the robot was upset that the child was winning.
Yeah.
Like, give me your finger.
Yeah, you can't win if I break your finger. So Robot Uprising's coming up, and it starts with chess.
Yeah.
Fucking A. Yeah, hopefully we
Is there
can.
actual video of it? Like,
Yeah, I think so. Hold on. Yeah, there's actual video of it.
we can do that for the stream.
Yeah, we can. So yeah, hopefully we don't take too long in between podcasts. I just know that my wife and I are going to be out of town again next weekend. So next weekend we probably won't have a podcast. However, we'll try to at least do this more often. Hopefully in between the intervals we won't get another misdemeanor. Oh my god. Just stop taking me out to shoot, man.
I don't ever plan on getting in trouble. Never planned on getting in trouble in the first place.
But
So,
trouble just seems to find its way.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of this podcast. We had a lot to talk about this time. We
Yeah,
actually
we
went
did.
past without having this fucking struggle, which
Yeah.
good. So hopefully you enjoyed our explanation of how we got fucked in the ass by Idaho law system. Yay!
Yeah.
I guess we're
Thank you,
girls now.
Idaho.
If you like what you hear, go to my OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans. Fuck you.
Oh.
I don't have an OnlyFans. Fuck that shit. You know what? I make a lot more money on OnlyFans than I do here. No one loves me anymore.
No one ever loved you.
You turn 23 and everyone's like, eh.
Yeah.
Unless you're a millionaire, I don't give a shit about you.
I mean,
Billionaire.
I guess my wife does. I got somebody. I got one person, but not for long if I continue down my road. I don't know how to end this. Help me.
All right. And that
Concludes.
concludes everything. Justin, Brandon, I love you both. I'm killing myself. Goodbye.
Suck more dick.
Ah!